Gatcombe, home to Princess Anne, the most extraordinary natural amphitheatre for the best of equestrian sport. The Event Rider Masters, Leg 5. We are past halfway in this epic series. Points are still to be played for, and the scene is set for an epic, gritty battle.
Welcome to the Event Rider Masters 2017. Now in its second year, this is the ultimate eventing series, spanning 7 events in 7 iconic locations across Britain and Europe, culminating at Blenheim Palace, where the series champion will be crowned. As the competition for the series title really begins to heat up, the 5th leg sees the Event Rider Masters return to UK turf, heading to Gatcombe Park in Gloucestershire for the Festival of British Eventing. Competition will be fast and furious as 33 of the world's very best international horses and riders from 14 different nations will be battling it out over the next 2 days for a podium spot and precious series points. This stellar field of eventing superstars and Olympic heroes will be showcasing the finest in equestrianism and tested to their limits across the 3 classic eventing disciplines. From the style and grace of dressage, to the precision and accuracy of show jumping, to the power and adrenaline of cross-country, in their quest for eventing's ultimate prize. This is the Event Rider Masters.
Welcome to Gatcombe Park. The Festival of British Eventing plays host to the 5th leg of the Event Rider Masters series, and we welcome a top-class field forward that features 4 former leg winners. As always, there is an exceptionally strong international challenge, but an experienced British field will be looking to use the home advantage. The crowds are building here, the tension is mounting, and we have some incredible competition ahead of us over the next couple of days. Wherever in the world you're joining us from, we're very, very pleased to have you with us. We have lots in store, and joining me in the studio for today's dressage phase, it is our international dressage judge, Mark Ruddock, and also for Equiratings, Sam Watson as well. You'll both be giving us your insight, but also down there on the ground, let's go and say a very good morning to Alice Plunkett.
Yeah, morning Nicole, morning Nicole. On cue, it starts to pee down with rain, and I have to say we've had this weather, haven't we? What a hideous August it's been, and we were hoping it was going to hold off for today. But that said, we're at Gatcombe in the heart of the Gloucestershire countryside. It is absolutely beautiful here in the southwest of England, despite the rain that's coming down. It won't dampen spirits for this leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters. The dressage is about to play its part out behind me. The horses are warming up over to my right, and the riders and the horses won't be affected by this rain, and it has actually provided perfect footing for this wonderful competition that we've got in store for you this weekend. The dressage phase, of course, is important, and we're looking for those sub 40 marks here today, but don't forget that last year is a power over 50. She scored, I think, 52. Sam Watson will tell us in a minute. Climbed 14 places to podium with a dressage score of more than 50. This is a jumping competition. The show jumping is tough. The undulations on the cross country play their part. So this is, although important, they'll want to get a good score. It's only one of 3 phases, Nicole.
Well, it certainly is only one of 3 phases, and we have got lots in store for you over the next couple of days. But it isn't just here. We are at leg 5, but leg 4 in Jardy, it was the first time that the Event Rider Masters series has taken to French soil. Let's remind ourselves of how all of the action unfolded.
Leg 4 of the Event Rider Masters series in Jardy, France. And day 1 saw the dressage action take place in the Carrière Olympique World number 1 Mikkel Jung of Germany impressed the crowd with a 35.7 on his Event Rider Masters debut, but it was Jung's compatriot Bettina Hoy who rode an exceptional test to top the day 1 podium. In the show jumping, it became clear very quickly that Serge Utermann's course was going to be a challenge for the riders to jump clear and make the time. Overnight leader Bettina Hoy decided to play safe in the show jumping, but this tactic cost her dearly, sending her down to 7th overall. This left the door open for Mikkel Jung to take the top spot, jumping clear and just under the time allowed. Thibaut Villette and Gemma Tattersall secured 2nd and 3rd respectively as the competition entered its final phase. The cross-country action promised to be fast and furious. 2016 series winner Oliver Townend completed the course in a super fast 6 minutes and 7 seconds to climb into 3rd place on the podium. French Olympic gold medalist Karim Florent Lahoigue's finishing score of 38.9 was enough to see him finish 2nd overall. But in a nail-biting finale, the current European, Olympic champion and world number 1 Mikkel Jung just took the win on his Event Rider Masters debut, adding yet another prestigious title to his CV. The Jardy Event Rider Masters title was his.
Well, the first time that the world number 1 has taken part in an Event Rider Masters leg. And Sam, should we have been surprised because he won it? He was brilliant.
Mikkel Jung, first Event Rider Masters, and he's the undisputed world number 1. The guys cannot catch him at the moment. So great to see him in the series. Great to see him doing his stuff. Oliver Townend got on the podium. That's exactly what he wanted to do. He really came alive in the series at this event last year. He'll be looking to keep the momentum up, and I think the 2 girls were brilliant. Sarah Cohen and Gemma Tattersall, they're the series leaders in 1st and 2nd. They got really valuable points there, and all to play for this week. Well,
it certainly is all to play for, and there are some key contenders coming forward as well, so let's take a closer look at them.
Leg 5 in the 2017 Event Rider Masters Series has reached its most defining point of the season. With just 3 legs remaining and the riders' top 4 results counting towards their series score, this is where leaderboard points really start to count.
This is the turning point in the series. This is where the riders who want to win this Event Rider Masters Series, they're turning for home now. We know that this weekend, someone could emerge from the pack.
British rider Gemma Tattersall currently leads the series after finishing top of the podium at leg 1 in Chatsworth and 4th last time out at Jardy.
Time here is really, really tight. Arctic Soul is a full thoroughbred horse and he is super fast.
After great results at Barbary Castle and Jardy, Kiwi rider Tim Price returns to leg 5, looking to make his mark on the Event Rider Masters leaderboard.
It's there for the taking in a way. I think you've got to have the right horse for the job, but then you've just got to go hard on all 3 phases and pull it off. The recipe's as simple as that.
Reigning Event Rider Masters Series champion Oliver Townend currently sits in 15th overall. But it wasn't until this time last year at Gatcombe that his 2016 campaign really started.
This is the turning point in the ERM series for the season. Now it's time to really start and knuckle down and try and get the ERM points.
Who will have what it takes to rise to the top in the battle for the coveted Event Rider Masters title?
Well, let's take a look at how the series leaderboard looks after 4 legs. Gemma Tattersall out in front with 74 points, just ahead of Sarah Cohen. But missing leg 5, Thomas Carlyle, Andrew Nicholson and Bettina Hoy. So our attention will be on Sir Mark Todd, Marcio George, Tim Price and Vittoria Panizon, all of whom could put in a very, very strong climb up that leaderboard if they take the top spot on the podium this weekend. Worth 30 points. Now, we're getting very close to the start of the dressage now. The rain is pouring down, Mark.
Indeed.
How is that going to affect the riders?
I don't think it really makes any difference to the horses particularly, but it's the going. As we saw at Blenheim last year, how the going gave up during the day and it got deeper and deeper, and they end up making all the tracks. And actually some riders have to play safe because the medium trots across the diagonals and start getting squidgy bits. So yeah, probably the draw could be an advantage.
Watch this space.
Yeah.
Watch this space. Well, fingers crossed the rain is going to ease. But Alice, I hope you've got an umbrella out there.
Well, I tell you what, Nicole, the only good thing about this weather is that I'm getting to snuggle up under an umbrella. Masters Challenge this afternoon. Let's start off first of all with Swedish international Ludvig Svennestal.
I think it's not going to be a dressage competition, so the worse conditions, the better it is.
For you, this
dressage, but it's a very thoroughbred horse, and I'm hoping we can go fast on the cross.
Going to the European Championships in Poland.
I mean, yeah, disappointed with all this rain. So it should be. Oh, the series is really exciting, even as an event rider ourselves. I mean, for years to come, because it's very, very good for eventing at the moment.
Now, 1 in a billion. Alex Hochan, great.
A little bit characteristic now. He on the page, and we thought, ooh, he picked out.
Back to that sort of form this weekend.
I would love to. I think, and then we can really get our teeth into the course tomorrow.
Dressage. Just a quick question for you guys. Will condition
for rain out there, the leaderboard is going to shuffle, but Sam, pick us out a few of...
At Barbary and went again for a personal best in their last outing at 3-star level, which was a 46 up in Bergam. They're ones really motivated by this series. They can certainly go in the mid-40s and low 40s. They're on an upward curve in this phase as well. Arctic Soul, he's the last horse to go. It came at Gatcombe at this venue in 2015. They'll be looking to do that again. And for us in this last session, number 10 for them. Shane Rose from Australia and CP qualified, the ones to watch in that session.
Well, it is a top-class field coming forward. With us...
looking for actually bold, brave riding, engagement, expression, the whole thing about being an event horse. Brave dressage test, brave bold show jumping, brave cross-country, so
and
attacking.
It is all about from the cross-country. Alice mentioned a little earlier about Elizabeth Power for Ireland, making that big climb last year.
Yeah, she had 10 legs over the 2 seasons. Most of those, 16 of those, to hit the podium have scored in the 30s, have lined up here. The riders know what the test is, and I think they may have been expecting the weather, because Arctic Soul, trees and horses like this, they have, and well, their wish has come through. I think it's going to be a really fascinating weekend, but this dressage as well, you at an event route already, and we could have a situation like Blenheim last year, and those latter horses.
In the arena at H. So the judges are situated at different points around the arena. We'll come to that a little bit later on, Mark. But let's talk a little bit about the man who is going to get us underway, because he is one of the most popular riders on the circuit, Ben Hobday. He is a firm fan favourite. And Stiletto H, owned by Rachel Foster, comes forward actually with some very good form, because a 5th place at Barbary in the CIC 3-star just a few weeks ago, a horse relatively inexperienced at this level, but has certainly made the step up very easily. Ben himself, hugely experienced, and has been double clear at the highest level as well. He's won a Young Rider Team Gold medal. He's been an individual bronze medalist at the Young Rider Europeans. What can he do here today? Getting us underway, Ben Hobday and Stiletto H for Great Britain.
I think they've got windscreen trouble. I saw Jane Holden just got out of her car. Probably haven't got any keys to start the ignition. And this is a judge's nightmare, to be fair. When you're sat in a car and it starts steaming up, and then you're worried about the windscreen wipers. Yesterday I noticed when there was somebody judging, she turned the windscreen wipers on, the headlights flashed, the horse was coming down the centre line, and
the perils of being a judge.
That's why you're better in the boxes. The boxes are easier because you can open windows. But they'll sit there steaming up, and you don't know whether to, and then the whoosh of the windscreen wipers as the horse goes past.
And would Ben be thinking, oh, that's okay, I get to trot round for a little bit longer?
Well, as long as he wasn't peaked, you know, it depends. If the horse is slightly sharp, it's quite nice, but actually if it's slightly on the behind your leg sort, he'll be thinking, please, you know, but he could have had a canter, but he's obviously quite happy, smiling away. But he has rather just gone round and round and round and round. I would have thought some transitions, keep the horse on the aids. He hasn't changed the rein or anything. The doors are still open. Windscreen wipers are working.
As a rider, when you're going around the outside of the arena, Mark, what is going through your mind at that moment in time?
Well, at this moment, it'd be like, could they please hurry up, wouldn't it? Because you feel just switched on. But I would be a little bit with Ben. I'd be standing there thinking, do a transition, Ben, please, because he actually has done 5 laps now without any change of pace, gear. I don't know, Sam, what would you think?
You're dead right. It really does matter, depend on the horse that you're sat on. If he's got a horse who could blow, and interesting looking at this horse's record, because his 3rd last run was a 59, and then his last 2 have been in the late 40s, so I don't know what went wrong on that occasion. But he looks very settled, he looks to be happy, and I mean, I would sometimes just walk them. I've got a couple of horses that I would, because I know that actually that...
So, Ben Hobday, Stiletto H, the first combination to go, leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters series. We are underway with the dressage phase, And this one of the Equa Ratings ones to watch, Sam, that you picked out for us from the running order.
It was great just to see the curve that he's on. His 48 at Barbary in the 3-star was a big test for this horse, and they went and bettered it by 2 marks at Bergamo on their last run with a 46. So in his mind and the path that this horse is on, this could be a 70% test. So
out of the hole. The horse is really nice and active. They will be criticised. They don't want to be in the rain, so they do go a little bit short in the frame. Unfortunately, it won't. The judges will not think it's raining. We will allow that because later on there could be one in the sun. You know, that's behind the vertical. So unfortunately,
late, bit hot and sweaty.
Yeah.
As a judge, would that bother you at all?
No, not at all, because I think it is just where the rain and it's when they're sort of foaming in their necks and actually showing the signs of tension. But this is just because it's absolutely wringing wet, isn't it? And the breastplate's just making that sweat. The lanolin or whatever is in the horse's coats, isn't it, that does it? But the horse is doing a really obedient, accurate test. His half pass was better the other way. You can see like he loses the expression in the trot that he didn't have on the other rein, so that half pass left won't get such a good mark. I think all the riders like this test more.
And we should talk about that because there's a couple of different tests at this level, isn't it? And then that you get a test per event.
Yep.
But actually, there's not a lot of variation because it's one or the other.
Yeah.
So the horses can become quite familiar with them.
I mean, the event horses are lucky. They at least have two tests of each level. The dressage horses, once you get to Prix St George, you have one test, Prix St George into one. And it's a difficult thing with training horses, isn't it? We train no one, you know, and all the event horses know once they get into canter, there's going to be one of these skipping things going to happen in a moment. The flight that they're required to do. It's huge, I think. I think they're asking them to do far too much counter-canter.
What makes counter-canter so difficult?
When they know about changes. That's a ever. So it's a real test of submission, the counter-canter, and that's why I think they really throw it in with the event horses, because it's a true test of obedience, and whether it's on the aids and on side. He's doing a really good job. The changes, the horse has got really nice paces. The change was really nice. He could just have a little bit more jump in the canter, they would say, like a little bit more air time.
In the trot work of this horse, he was really on side, and he does have, he does move nicely in the trot. This is probably his slight weakness at the moment, where he's going to take a bit of time.
And that left canter was weaker, and that's why that flying change was late behind, because of the quality of the canter. Without a good canter, you don't get a good change. And I mean, you would probably say, I mean, it's an advanced event horse, so it clearly has a good jump. But you would think if it has the odd fence down, is it because of the quality of the canter? Is it a young horse?
10-year-old.
Right. Yeah, so it's still on the upward curve. But the horse has been really willing and on side, hasn't made any major glitches. Those penalties are clearly wrong.
So Ben Hobday for Great Britain, with Stiletto H getting us underway. We'll get an update on his score as soon as possible, because I think, Sam, it'd be safe to say he's going to be around the early 50s mark.
Yeah, I think so. I think that that trot work just had him towards the late 40s. The walk in this test, it is a lot nicer, and we don't have those pirouettes, but his marks started to drop down a little bit, and in the canter, probably just not doing enough to get those big marks.
Exactly. It was just because of the lack of quality of the canter and the change. And it's the changes that, if the canter's not good enough, the change doesn't happen, and it's a bit of a domino effect, as that proved how his penalty scores dropped once he went into canter.
And we talk a lot, and we will talk a lot today, about the importance of a clear round in the dressage. There weren't any major mistakes. It was generally a very good test. It just...
You know, and if you were his trainer, and you would just be... His probably winter homework is to get that canter stronger, develop the canter, you know, and then he's got... If he can get a movement in all the canter movements from 3 judges, that just prots that penalty mid-40s without much effort.
Yeah, I think he's going to be strong in that phase, that horse, and that'll be nice for Ben to have, because his average, Ben's average, has been in the mid-50s at this level with his previous horses, but that horse looks like it's going to bring him to a new level.
Totally.
And it's not going to be a dressage competition. There is lots to jump, which this next lady will be very pleased about, because it is Beanie Sturgis. Beanie coming forward with Peter and Jill Lamont, Simon Grayley and her own 17-year-old Lebowski, 17 years of age, this horse. He has been a superstar for Beanie over the years. He's very experienced. His jumping phases would certainly be the horse's preference. But his dressage, well, he was top 10 at Blenheim last year, Sam. If she can recreate that kind of form, she'll be looking very happy ahead of the weekend.
Yeah, this horse, he is a box of chocolates in the first phase. So, I mean, his best is a 45.6. He's got very close to 70%. But this year he's averaging a 59, you know, this season, which is not... He should be somewhere in the middle. He should be low 50s. I think the rain could actually help him in the dressage a little bit, just help them to focus a little bit more, keep their attention on the rider. And this starting off quite nice for Lebowski.
Well, 7 for his entry. He actually scored 51.5 at Blenheim in the series finale last year, finished on that score and took 6th, which was their highest Event Rider Masters placing, but they were 15th here last year, and they were one of the fastest across the country, just 2 time penalties across the country, and we didn't have anybody inside the time. So Mark, early indications. You saw this horse at Barbary where he was a little naughty. He lived up to his name of Rotter.
At Barbary he was close to getting eliminated because he reared and went so close to the boards, and actually he did have a fit here last year as well. It's the walk, it's when he goes to the canter is when he flips. And I think that Barbary test after the pirouettes, he coped with the pirouettes, and then she went to do the second pirouette. And he was like, my work here is done. So this test should suit him because he literally walks and goes into the canter. He's very, when he's good, I mean, he's like an angelic little thing, isn't he? It's then he just becomes a devil. And actually sometimes he's a devil and then he goes back to being quite angelic again. He's slightly making her be very tactful. Got a sullen face on today, but she will cope. Beanie will go with sullen.
If she can keep the lid on, though, that's all she minds. And she knows it. I mean, she came out of the test at Barbary. She had an interview with Michael, and she just laughed. She knows him so well. He's part of the family. Yeah. He's ridden by her children. You know, he is part of the family.
Because it was the hind legs were together, but actually sometimes it's when he lands over the change. So she's going for this nice, easy. They will be saying more energy, more expression, but Beanie knows
how much more energy and expression he can give.
Yeah, you know, and I think you just poke him wrong. And it's really interesting she's not got spurs on today.
That's a new rule that's come in quite recently. We used to have to wear spurs. You don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, same with pure dressage as well. The FEI dressage and eventing seem to go very similar with their rules now. You're like there, the canter is a little bit laboured. You see how he's getting a bit angsty in his mouth because he's not really sitting behind.
He doesn't like his half passes that much, trot or canter. Doesn't like the bending.
No, and actually, it's horses that are not submissive do not like bending. You know, it's a true test of, will I let you bend me? And the answer is, not really. It's not a physical stiffness, it's a mental stiffness. So, that won't get a good mark. You see how he's sort of changed downhill. It was more hind legs. He sort of booked it through, really.
You're getting from one leg to the other.
Yeah. He changed his legs in his low. But
And she's being very conservative in this medium and extended. I think she's just trying to keep a lid on it.
Mark, talk to us about that movement, because it's a bit strange in so much as they go extended to medium, is that right?
They go extended back to collected. So they're showing, looking for the ground cover, that actually, you know, it's the ultimate. This is going to have a little moment there, no? So you're looking at also, there's ultimate ground cover, but doesn't do it like downhill. It sits from behind, just like a speedboat in water with the front end coming up, and just see the power. Where there, you just saw him go fast and flat, really. More like a Labrador rather than a speedboat.
But I reckon right now Beanie is thinking, right, we've pulled that off. It is tactics. They've been in the 60s this season. They've taken 10 marks off that. They're going to be low 50s, and they're still going to have to jump a clear round in the show jumping. That's not going to be easy. And then they will just want to let rip on the cross country.
They've put themselves in a really strong position, certainly for a top 10 finish. So Beanie Sturgis Lebowski, she was trending early 50s and certainly an improvement on their test at Barbary just a few weeks ago. Well, a score just in for Ben Hobday's Stiletto, 51.9. So Ben was our first combination to get us underway. Beanie is going to be fairly close to that mark, but huge improvement.
Massively. I don't think, I remember him, where did he do his good test? Blenheim, didn't he? But she's played that so tactfully well, but I sometimes think it's not even Beanie doesn't have a choice whether there's going to be tactfulness or not. I've seen her going really well and then he just throws at her. But today, he's obviously come on side today, because she'd like to win some money here.
He kept a real lid on it for her.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
He's 17 and he's certainly not getting any...
But she'll be pleased he's chosen here to behave himself, won't she? With her jumping form.
I think if all goes to plan in the next two phases for them, which, you know, I think that this was the big question mark for them. I think she could be sat on her on the podium for quite a long time. 52.2. That will be good. She should be happy with that.
That's close enough, isn't it? Not a dressage competition here. Gatcombe, leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters. As next to go, a young lady making her Event Rider Masters debut, Caroline March, with her own and Jane March as postmaster. This is a horse that went very well at Chatsworth a little earlier on this year, actually went clear across the country, finished inside the top 15. Went clear across the country at Bramham last year in the under-25 CCI Class 2. Unfortunately, didn't manage to complete, withdrew before the second horse inspection. But a horse that's got a good amount of experience at this level, actually produced by Caroline. She's based down in Colchester in Essex, one of the younger riders in the field, in her early 20s.
I would just say he stepped back in the first halt, which indicates the judges is not really in front of the leg. And then that medium trot would have brought that home to the judges, because he didn't really go. There was no sort of push from behind. And you can see there, she's working quite hard. It all just looks like it's just lacking a bit of life and a bit of zip. But I don't know, you know, we don't know. I don't know if anybody knows, is he a sharp horse and she's going for another, being a bit like Beanie. But you see, like there, he doesn't really push from behind. No, and he started after the centre line. He was like, okay, I'll give you a bit. The judges want it from marker to marker for the big mark. So she'll be on the 6-ish, because the horse actually showed it could do it. You can see how fussy it is in its mouth. And like there, it's dropping the pole down. The rein back is fair, but they will not like what it's doing in its mouth. And hopefully with the rain on their windscreen, they might not see its mouth opening at that halt. So, you know, that's the advantage of having that halt down at the A end. It's when it's at sea and you think the horse, you're like, please stop doing that. Please stop opening your mouth in front of the judge.
He's another horse with a lot of range in his marks. He's 57 at Chatsworth this year, with a 50 at Burnham Market. And then back in 2015, he had huge range. He did a 74 at Belton, where it certainly didn't go to plan, and then a 49 at Bramham. So it could be anything, and that could be something that the judges, sometimes they don't get too fussy about what's going on in the mouth, and then sometimes, you know, if you get a judge who fixates on it, they're just not going to give the good marks.
Yeah, and I think if you get 3 that fixate on the same day, that's when those marks can really do. And if you get 3 that actually it's not their thing, you know, it can be. And you as a rider, you're like, I did the same test I did last week and I got 10 marks worse or less, because actually it's what we're human. We all have things that annoy us more than other things.
Yeah.
And I think one of these ladies will not like the mouth, but because because I know, and it's a lack of connection. The horse isn't round enough and working enough from behind, and that's why the mouth starts. The mouth always indicates what's going wrong behind, really, or in the brain.
He does look very rideable, though.
He does, but you like just to shorten the reins a little bit and put him a little bit rounder, because I would suspect his change. He'll do a really good one now. I'm suspecting it's not going to be the best change because he's not really over his back and round enough.
You're looking for that hind leg to just punch through a little bit more, aren't you?
Yeah, it was clean, but it'll be a 6 because actually it did happen, but there was no expression. It just...
It was shy, modest.
Modest. I was going to say plopped from one leg to another, but...
I'll try and help you out with some more sophisticated words if I can, Mike.
Okay. Yeah, it's my northernness. I haven't got a large vocab of sophisticated words.
Well, I'm Irish, so I don't know if I can teach people to speak properly.
Yeah, that's fine. And you see, like there, that medium canter on that circle, you didn't really know she was doing anything. It's all just very safe and modest. But there's no... She's staying off the 4s. The half pass there has no bend at all. There should be a definite flexion to the left.
It's funny, Nicole asked you this morning what you were looking for, and you did. I think you said the words attacking and positive.
Yeah.
And that you're not quite seeing it here.
No. And you do sit there when you got 40. I know they haven't got quite 40 horses, but you sit there saying, please, somebody, like, as a judge, you do want to be, as a judge, you want to get the big marks out, and you're like, this horse looks like it's a lovely horse, and it's doing everything really nice. You just like it a bit more attack, and she's going for a lovely clear round.
To be fair, though, you almost think it's her first time in the Event Rider Masters series, and actually, it's very easy to sit and sort of go push a bit more, but we don't know quite what would happen if she did push a little bit more.
Exactly, and it's a lovely horse and she's a lovely rider, but you don't know what's been going on outside. It could have been off its head for the last 2 days while it's been in here, and you go with what you've got, don't you? She's chuffed a bit. It's easy to sit here, but it's trouble when you're judging. You just judge what you see. You don't know what's gone on. You don't know previous form. You don't know what it's been like for the last 2 days.
And ultimately, as a judge, that is what it is all about. You judge what is in front of you.
Yeah, you do. And the rider sometimes are a bit like, I would like to give you more, but you can't. You're not having any more. And like you say, it's her first one. You see that in that graphic there. You can see just like how he goes onto his forehand, because he just needs more energy. Because he's a very loose, supple horse. There's so many more marks in that horse.
It was actually a really attractive picture.
It's a lovely
particularly
picture.
In the
She's a
canter,
beautiful
he
rider.
himself really nicely.
And she rides really lovely, and she's got those nice dressage legs. So she makes the picture really good. So I think that would be one you'd think actually could get those scores really good.
And I think this is useful because you have this facility to be able to watch it back, and the message here is you probably do want to just go a little bit more positive, because when you start off at 3-star, you think, let's just try and get through the test.
Yeah.
Good to see it, because you think I've done nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the key. You've not done anything wrong. There's more to build on the foundations.
Yeah. When she watches this back, she'll be like, oh, I can see, I can put more zip into it.
Well, one lady who's looking forward to the jumping is talking to Alice.
So your score for Caroline March, Postmaster at C, 164.5, at H, 163.5, and at B, 164.0. 55.4.
Well, some technical problems with the mic down there, but we will get a word from Beanie very shortly, because she is surely going to be delighted with Lebowski's test, 52.2, and she'll be looking to climb the leaderboard in the jumping phases. But 3 combinations have gone now. What's the early indications, Mark, in terms of judging? We've seen an 8.
Yeah, I think they've been completely. That they have marked what they have seen correctly, and they gave that 8 for the. And I know these judges will get their marks out. Sometimes you have a grand jury and you think they'll never get those 9s and 10s, but this lot have. They know where they are.
Only ever seen 110 in the Event Rider Master Series. That was at Chatsworth this year, Gemma Tattersall. We'll see her a little bit later on today. But let's turn our attentions to this young man. Hector Payne for Great Britain. comes forward with Michael Payne's Blue Moonshine. 15 years of age Blue Moonshine by Frenchman. Actually had a couple of years off, missed 2015 and 2016, but before that had a very good 3rd place at Bramham in the under-25s class.
Did you see, like, when this horse was coming around the edge, what we were saying about the previous horse? Hector's come in and it's made me sit up and go, I like this. The horse is like very uphill, he's going for some power, it's got this little look at me about him. Hector's riding the power and showing off. It's about being a Lemuel show-off. It's a show. There was a little loss of balance there, but Hector keeps his horse in a lovely uphill frame. And you can just see from the previous 2, where they've played safe and gone less with the revs, he's coming with the gas.
And the first horse we've seen in a double bridle, I love to ask about a double bridle, Mark, because it fascinates me. We don't see them so much anymore. They seem to have disappeared slightly.
I think because in the old days, it was when people couldn't get a horse on the bit, they used to stick in a double bridle. But I think, like, training for all horses, like the dressage event horses, it's about the correctness. And I think people have worked out, actually, they need to go to snaffle. And the double bridle for me now is for riders that actually it's an ABS braking system, just finesse, where in the old days, finesse.
We like the word finesse. Particularly in dressage.
Yeah, you know, and it probably just helps Hector just keep this horse a little bit more up in the pole. You know, and some horses go really well in them. You did used to see more horses in them than you don't, and it's an unusual thing. But you see so many people can't ride in them, but Hector can ride in his double bridle.
I used to ride in a double bridle with Bushman, and then it would. I took it off for Samur one day, and he came up the centre line. He was going really nicely, halted, and he put his head so up high in the air I couldn't see the judge. But interesting, I think he sits really well on a horse. I'm looking at Hector's personal best as a rider, and it's 48.2. I think he's on an upward. I think he could get near that today.
Yeah, he could, because the whole picture is just one of like like a dressage horse. See how there keeps such a lovely balanced canter. The horse is sat on his bottom and the forehand is up and the poll is so the highest point, but in a good way.
That's uphill.
That's uphill. So that, you know, the speedboat effect. And they will. No, that was a real shame, because everything was set up for that change, and the horse was late behind. So that'll really pull the marks down.
By uphill,
yeah.
Is that the power in the back end?
Yeah, from behind, from the engine behind, coming up through the wither. You can see there, they'll want its nose a little bit more forward. You get the impression it's like a plane taking off. Like the front end goes up first, pushed from behind.
So this horse's PB 49.9 at Burnham Market. The rider Hector's PB 48.2. If they, we can see it unraveling a little bit now. Yeah. So we're probably saying goodbye to the chance of a 40s test, but puts it into perspective. Later on in the day, we're going to be looking for people who they need that score to start with a 3. That's what they're aiming for. That's what motivates them. Hector's probably at a point where if he could have just got under that 50 barrier, he'd have been delighted.
Yeah, and then it's gone and broken, and yeah. So this horse for me has like proper top class paces. Hector's a very nice rider. Things are slightly unraveling,
and it shows it shows what those 3s and 3.5s and 4s can do to your score, and he's just had too many of those. This is not a clear round. This is a round that's shown a lot of potential. Yeah. Looked really nice. I thought a lovely picture when they came in. So they have actual serious things that they need to work on to eliminate those really low marks.
Yeah. But a horse that you would be like, you will work on it because it's stunning. Hector clearly can ride. It looks very, as a dressage rider, so he looks
hugely elegant, and he's actually based with Ian and Heidi Woodhead. Ian, of course,
well, there you go.
Who
that's right. Yeah.
has incredible effect in the dressage arena. Yeah. And he'll have been getting a lot of help from him. He was based with William Fox Pitt before as well, and he's a very classy rider, isn't he?
Yeah, very, very classy. Yeah. Yeah, he could be a dressage rider if he wanted to be, but I'm sure he doesn't want to be. But when he's old, he probably will. So he'll be gutted.
So Hector Payne and Blue Moonshine just finished their test in front of our ground jury. Andrew Benny, Jane Holderness Rodham and Annabelle Scrimmager in charge of leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters. things didn't quite go to plan, a couple of costly mistakes, but lots to like for the future. So just wait for his scores to come in from our ground jury at the moment. Ben Hobday out in front, Soleto H 52.0, Caroline March 55.3, Hector trending around the late 50s, so he's going to go into 4th. And I think he'd, safe to say, Mark, he'd expect that because there were a few very costly mistakes.
Oh, I mean, he'll be... That horse was going to be sub 50 easily with the ability. He'll be absolutely... He'll be livid, I would think. And I wouldn't blame him for being livid, actually, because he rode it well. The horse slightly just let him down a little bit.
Well, 58.5. He goes 4th, Hector Payne and Blue Moonshine, Great Britain. Let's go to Alice.
Caroline, 55. You seem pretty happy with that.
Yes, very happy. We haven't reached an agreement that we don't do dressage. So if we get to a test error-free, I'm as happy as Larry, and we did that. And he's had 2 years off through injury, so this is our first year back, and he's come back so much more rideable. I think I probably need to be a bit braver now and actually go for the marks. And but no, delighted with him.
This is a big platform to get back onto. Have you had a look at the track?
I have, yes. They're very excited. I walked the intermediate, I got one as well yesterday, and I saw a few of the ERM fences, and I cannot wait. I got so excited, I got a bit distracted walking the intermediate by going to walk them. But no, it looks so much fun. He's a phenomenal jumper, so cannot wait for tomorrow. Very excited indeed.
Well, listen, well done, great start.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Alice. Thank you.
Well, interesting comments there, Mark.
Yeah.
You know, she had to ride what's underneath
Yeah,
her.
but also that she said she can now start to put the power in. So it's nice that what we saw, she felt. So, you know, really pleased with that.
You know, you do know what you're talking about, Mark, don't
well,
you?
Yeah, she's not going to go and hunt me down.
So next to go for Great Britain, making her Event Rider Masters debut, Rose Carnegie and Landine. And Rose comes forward with this 14-year-old mare by Landelot. And a horse that has done very, very well at the highest level. Actually was completed at Badminton a couple of years ago. Went double clear at Blenheim last year as well. And Rose on the comeback trail, she actually had a really nasty break to her leg at the start of this year. So only recently back in the saddle.
Yeah, I'm interested in this one. They've just had real difficulty with that right half pass, and you can see a 1 coming for that because there was hardly a step of right half pass in the trot. But I was very excited because their last dressage test was a 43.9. It was in a 2-star, but their PB came at Gatcombe in 2015 at this level, a 47.3 at this venue, at this level. So I was thinking we could have our first sub 50. But we'll see. Yeah, well, she's got a powerful, beautiful horse. Doesn't surprise me that that's the form of its marks. So whether, to be fair, Rose thought, actually, I'm going for this, and then, unfortunately, her wanting the power early on, she didn't read the signals, caused that problem. And the trouble is, once they start cantering in that half pass, they will not trot, will they? No, that's not what you want.
No. So I think it was being bold. Unfortunately hasn't paid, but she's carried on being bold.
And the judges will respect that, won't they?
Oh, totally. It's when you see a rider go, oops, I'm going to back off now. You're like, because actually you can put the 3 or 4 back and actually start thinking, no, I need to get more out, go for more. And you'll pull the marks back rather than back off. It's a bit like jumping, I presume, really. You know, once you have 1 down, you don't start riding backwards to have 4 more down, do you?
No.
You know, and it's the same thing.
An 8's in there for that extended walk.
It's beautiful. It's a lovely, lovely horse. I take it it's Dutch with that name.
By Landelot.
Sounds Dutch, isn't it? Landelot. You see, like here, it has very good, like we all know, horses that walk will canter. That's how they buy these £1 million racehorses, just in walkers, yearlings. You know, the horse has an 8, and look at that canter, easy and round and supple and a lovely expressive change within the same canter. That should pop an 8 out, I hope.
It's an interesting one where you're talking about the walk and the canter there, because the trot, really, when you think of eventing being a 3-phase competition and taking place over all these days, the trot is about 7 marks in the test.
Yeah. And we say with the dressage horses, the Grand Prix horses don't do any more than you do at medium level. It's all about the canter. Because, you know, once you do a half pass, you do a half pass. You might be steeper and things, but it's all about the walk and the canter. Her mark should be pulling much better. I don't know whether it's our camera angle, but nobody seems to bend left in the canter half bars. Nobody has today. Could be the camera angle for here. But it's such a lovely canter. Yeah, well, they obviously though didn't have enough bend as well, so 6.5. It's the rhythm, and it's like cantering over balls. That was a little bit against her legs. That wasn't as nice to do the change. But you see how easy this horse is in the hand and the frame. Lovely in the mouth. And it looks just so nice to ride. This would be the one I'd like to have a go on from this morning's session. Lot so far. You think, Sam? I could go on this
it shows how much. I'm just thinking how much they had to recover from that first mistake, because you mentioned it earlier. This is a performance, so you've got to win those judges over. And if they've pressed the one button only in your sort of third or fourth movement, that puts you down, because that I can see a huge amount of potential in that. I thought it was really enjoyed watching that counter work in particular.
It's one of those, isn't it, that when the penalty score plummets to start with, it plummets very quickly, but it takes a long time to claw it back.
Yeah, but fair play to her. She moved on, and she really rode. That's a beautiful, beautiful horse. And look how chilled he is.
I think she'd be disappointed. I think she wanted to hit the late 40s, but I think we can all see the potential that's there.
Yeah, you see like there how much cadence it has, like those slow-mos. And it's so nice in his frame and the contact, and just beautiful again. All their way of going has been really nice this morning. Like, you can see good training, because you have to do it now, don't you?
Yeah, you can. I thought the Beanie's test was pretty much exactly 65%, so averaging 66.5s.
Yeah.
And I think she's probably nailed what she wanted to do in the playbook. If you go and ask for a 7 with that horse, you could end up with a 4.
Yeah.
And that showed, but that's a very clear indication. You know, if your tactic is to go in and play it safe, 65% is your max. And we're going to see people later on who are going to be going for 75%, which is in the 30s, late 30s, 37.
I think Rosie was going for a 70%.
Yeah.
And would have got it without that, wouldn't she? Because it was there. Unfortunately, when they do that, the submission mark that the judges have the 4 collective marks, they will knock a mark off for that canter, because the harmony, ease of movements, they will knock a mark off, because it was quite a big blip for a whole movement, which is unfortunate, but I like that one.
It's the one you want to take home, Sam. I think you're quite partial to Landine as well.
Yeah,
but Rose
like
Carnegie and Landine just finishing their test for Great Britain. We'll get a score for her very shortly, but let's go down to Alice.
Yeah, Hector Payne joins me. Hector, you were pleased with the test, but frustrated with the mark.
Yeah, I think he tried his hardest, and one little error, but he was better than he was at Chatsworth, and maybe a little bit worse on the leaderboard. But you know, I think look at the course out there, and it's not going to be a dressage competition anyway.
No, definitely not. And jumping, he is an absolutely awesome cross-country horse, isn't he?
Yeah, no, that's where he sort of comes into his own. Bit of hunting's help there as well, but no, really looking forward to getting out and have a crack at it, because it's my first attempt at the Open here, so I can't wait.
Yeah. And having had a look at the course, what stands out to you?
I've only had a very brief look, but there are some good combinations. The waters are always strong here, so hopefully he'll put his best foot forward tomorrow.
Galloping up and down those hills too. Listen, very best of luck. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So now coming forward, one of our 2 representatives of Italy this weekend, making his Event Rider Masters debut. It is Umberto Riva with Phoenix Damini. And this is a horse, actually, the only stallion in the field. We had a stallion on the podium this time last year. Upsilon, winner at Barbary, but of course finished second here at Gatcombe behind Oliver Townend in leg 5 in 2016.
Well, we love a PB in the Event Rider Masters, right?
You
Umberto's 3-star PB is a 57 at Stragom last year with this horse. So I think we've got the bar at a reasonable place where we might beat that. 57 is what we're trying to beat, folks.
The horse, again, really powerful. They're not going to like the shoulder in. They were looking for 3 tracks in the shoulder in. You could see you could have driven a shopping trolley between its back legs and its front legs, so they will be like, that's too wide an angle. And that was even from here. And the horse is like in a really nice frame, but this is why I don't like a horse in a double bridle, because I think this horse is actually not taking the bits. You can see he's like quite out to it. But it's probably a stallion, and it just helps him keep it a little bit when it gets a little bit fruity.
Good hold.
Good hold.
Rein back bit resisting.
Yeah, you can see the mouth.
Exactly what do we want from a good rein back, Mark?
We'd like it to go diagonally back, so it's like trotting backwards, but not at trot speed. Clear lift, that actually picks each leg up in a diagonal pair. It did do that mechanically, it did the technical, its legs were right, but it was so against the hand. So you're looking, it's a very, very, very test of submission. No horse would choose to rein back, ever. In the field, they wouldn't go, you know, and it's about pure mental submission. And that's why the judges will go mad and give a big mark for a rein back, because it's a rare thing to see completely focused, and especially for a horse that's meant to go forward. This horse has a really nice walk. This will pick the marks up. Really relaxed, really big. The grass is quite long, we can't really see the overtrack, but we presume it's happening. Because normally you can see the imprint, but the grass is quite long, isn't it?
Stop it turning to mud.
You see the 9 there? Yeah.
That's the first 9 that we've seen, but a 9, a 6.5 and a 7.
Very odd. Who gave us
6.5 at C?
It was the C judge. Okay. So she would have been the one that could have seen the overtrack and things. And it was the B judge that she was going towards. So she obviously liked that it was really straight and she could see the march.
B is enjoying that, you know, likes the picture.
Loving it.
And
see, the side judge is always the judge that judges the frame.
Okay.
Because that's all you can really see the whole time is the frame, and the B judge is liking this horse's frame. I was thinking it was a little fuss in its mouth, but she likes it being quite nice and open in the neck, and how probably light it is in his hand. So that's obviously her thing. The side judges are obviously something less that they don't like, which maybe they don't like the mouth when they keep going past them. That was an unfortunate little slit there, wasn't it? But very clear in that medium canter on that circle, and the transition back was very clear. And now we'll see if anybody does bend. No.
No, and
so
quarters leading.
The quarter's leading. So the B judge won't see that. So you would imagine the 2 short side judges will mark that down.
By quarters leading, you mean the quarters were going across first?
And the first leg you should see is the inside shoulder. Just glimpse it. Again, we really like this canter. Quite easy and open and bold. I would wonder if it's too open to get a decent change. No, it's quite all right. They won't like that he actually, because I said the canter was quite open, the horse actually backed itself off and then did the change, a bit like sort of sticking one in.
Adding a stride in, going down to a show jump.
Going to a show jump, getting in deep. And the horse balanced itself and went, no, we're going too quick here, Dad.
Mr. Woodhead tells me I need the same canter before, during and after the change.
Absolutely. It should not change at all. I would have thought that, I'm surprised he hasn't popped below 50. Actually.
This is going to be a huge PB though. This rider has never gone below 57 in a 3-star test, and he smashed it.
Yeah. I was going to say, Echo Ratings are going to be very happy with this, because a personal best, and it's looking likely to be a new leader, Umberto Riva for Italy. Phoenix Damini will be looking for their score very shortly. The collectives are coming in a moment, Mark. Just talk us through what they are, what they mean, and how influential.
So the first one is for paces. This horse had very good paces. I would think it would be a 7.5 to an 8, because they gave it, especially the B judge, who gave it the 9. Maybe the C judge, who only gave him 6.5, will probably only go 7, because she's felt something. So looking for the quality of the paces. It is only ×1 in eventing. In dressage, it's ×2, because it's right for the event horses that actually God-given paces shouldn't actually be ×2. The impulsion, which is the engagement, the lightness, and the quality. This horse has good engagement, so the impulsion mark would be quite good. And then the submission is about the harmony, so any mistakes and acceptance of the bridle. So I would again think that would be quite good. And then the reflective is the rider's effect. So was it accurate? How did the rider influence? Did the rider actually affect it in a bad way or a good way? So I would imagine his collectives are really quite good.
Well, 50.5. New leader,
Yeah.
Sam, personal best. Echo ratings happy?
PB, the Italian stallion, does the job.
The horse.
How long have you been waiting to say that?
It just popped into my mind there, and I was like, how have we missed this? The only stallion in the field, one of 2 Italians in the field. But there we go.
So, new leader here, leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters. The first session of dressage, but some 6 combinations have gone, and it is Umberto Riva for Italy leading the way on 50.5. But what can this young lady do? Because she is making her Event Rider Masters debut. It is Ashley Edmund for Great Britain. Ashley comes forward with Triple Chance the second, a horse she owns alongside Bridget Heel. Just a 12-year-old by Langarth Triple. And a combination that went very well at Bramham in the under-25s a little bit earlier on this year. Finished 7th on that occasion, so well inside the top 10. Ashley, very much one of the top young riders on the British circuit.
Now, she started with a fairly big score that day, 60.9, so only in the, actually just under 60%. And they didn't have a great time at Chatsworth, they had a 67, but Burnham Market was a lot better, 53.9. So I imagine this is going to be like some of the tests we've seen this morning, trying to just sort of hit those 6.5s and come out with a low 50 if she can.
So you can see, like, the horse's natural canter is not like what we've seen in the previous 2 horses. And this is a difficult thing. It's about slightly God-given paces does make the rider's job easier. Then it comes down to what's between its ears, the brain. So you can have a less gifted mover that will try its heart out and will get the marks, but it won't get the marks through wowness, but it has to get the marks through correctness and training. If you get God-given and a good brain, then you're into the, into like Upsilon.
Yeah.
And it's a rare thing, isn't it? So Leo, she'll be quite pleased with that start. So she will know that the horse, she has to go for accuracy and obedience because he's not wowy. No one can help that.
He looks like he's got a good, honest expression.
So she's
face.
got to pick up every mark through accuracy. And like there, it's all nice and rhythmical, keeping soft and easy. And like there, he really tries in that medium trot. And the judges will reward that because actually it was clear for him, was it a medium trot? And the answer is yes. She came back and stayed in rhythm.
You really need to pick up marks on these technical movements, and if you
very good there, you see.
Bang your horse in.
Doesn't matter how gifted you are, can you stand square?
Yeah, and go backwards.
And go backwards. And the answer was yes.
That's good riding from her because she just won't be able to get 7.5s and 8s for shoulder ins and things like that.
Yeah.
So she has to nail those holds.
Yeah. Like there, you could do with more suppleness, but rhythmically, she's going to be picking 6, 6, 5, and then the odd 7 for the. But the judge at 8 didn't like that round back, but the other 2 did. But it's about the training, and then just have to hope that he can relax in the walk. And I think the thing is, as a rider, when you think you haven't got the horse that's got the most scopiest paces, you have to. It makes you a good rider eventually, because you learn to just be your centre lines, your halts, you don't. The easy points that anybody can work on. He's a really nice walk, really relaxed. So that must be quite nice when you think, actually, here comes quite a nice mark.
And I reckon the judges will want to be giving a mark where they can, because there is just something about the horse that makes you think he enjoys being ridden, he enjoys being trained and doing his job. He's trying.
And he's on side. Yeah. It was a pity that he had that little tension before he went into the canter. So his canter, they will criticise because it's nearly losing. So we're looking for a 3 beat in the canter. You cannot really count the 3 beat there. It gets to almost 4 beat, nearly trotting almost behind. So it'd be interesting to see how he manages to change, because we need the hind leg to be actually pushing and engaging. And to be fair, he did it. But again, with the 6, because of the canter, it lacks airtime.
Yeah.
But he lets her ride him.
They're 53.9 at Burnham Market. That's the best that they've managed at 3-star level. So
yeah, and that probably, he probably has a ceiling of a mark, but it still makes you in there if you're getting it. and you know she's trending around that mark again now. So again, it's just more suppleness. And she could probably get more marks out of the bending actually a little bit.
Well, I know we talk about the time of the cross country here at Gatcombe, but with the rain and the weather, the just jumping the fences on the cross country can become difficult.
So, unfortunately, sorry, he just did a flying change, but she was quick in the correction. But that's unfortunate, and then that canter there because he was slow behind. So that's an expensive little serpentine and a change. So it's going to really.
It's a double mistake. It's going to hit hard.
Yeah. You know, and that'll affect the submission as well at the bottom. She'll be quite annoyed with that because she'll be like, and it was a lovely change that he slipped in as well. Better than
always the way, isn't it?
It's always the way.
Always the way.
Yeah.
If Dermot Byrne was here.
He loves the flying change. He does.
He does. He does.
So Ashley Edmund, triple chance at the second for Great Britain, making their Event Rider Masters debut here this weekend. Looking around 57.8 as things stand at the moment. An expensive flying change, a couple of fours in there will just drop that penalty score slightly. Not going to challenge our new leader, Umberto Riva, for Italy. 50.5 currently setting the target at the top of the leaderboard. But still a very solid test, lots to like, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, she was on her sort of PB, around her PB, wasn't she, until, you know, 2 changes and then the submission mark. But again, you know, the horse really on side, and actually I still think there's still more marks. She should make him a little bit more supple, and just work on the suppleness things and get those half passes better. But he looks really on side. Should be a bit cross, because actually that's the trouble when you're thinking you're slightly always up against your marks. You're like, why did you do that? Why?
Treason.
Why?
Injadi did a flying change in his final extended canter. Beautiful flying change, but not where it was meant to be.
And then as a rider, you're like, why did you do that? Why?
Well, it's a nice, it's a starting point for these guys. You do international eventing, you know, we are talking about the Formula 1 here of riders. When you look at the field that we've got, you've got to start somewhere and get them in the 50s, you know, try and leave as many of the show jumps up as you can and give yourself a platform from which you can start to go on. And Ashley's a young rider. She's got plenty of time ahead of her.
And I think the thing is, like, at least she can go. She still knows where there's marks still to get. You know, without that, without this. But it's a really good attitude, and that's really, you're halfway there. It's when they, you know, trying hard.
She's going the right way. She's going to beat her own 3-star average, which is 61.7. So
well,
it's on the curve's going the right way.
Curving is going the right way. So Ashley Edmund and Triple Chance at 57.7. They go 6th at the moment for Great Britain. But let's go and talk to our new leader, who's with Alice.
Yeah, Umberto, congratulations. You've taken the lead at this early stage.
Thank you very much.
Tell us a little bit about the stallion, because he's the only stallion that we have in the lineup today.
Yeah, this stallion is a 13-year-old. I ride him already since 5 years, and I'm really pleased with him. He did a really good test. He was really charged, and he could really ride good to the music, so I'm really happy with him.
And we loved your music choices.
Yeah, thank you. I did a work with friends of mine and my family, and we chose this track, so I really loved it, riding to the music.
Yeah, we're loving having the WhatsApp group to help everyone make you choose. And you have the 2 horses based in Belgium, but great to have you part of the Masters.
Yeah, thank you. I have another horse, younger horse, back in Belgium, and I'm really happy to take part at this event. It's a wonderful atmosphere, it's awesome, and I'm happy to compete here with Phoenix.
I don't know how long you're going to hold on to the lead for, but enjoy it while you're there.
Thank you very much. Ciao, Bella.
Well, his music, a bit of Clean Bandit and Calvin Harris, but what can this man do? Ludwig Svenestall for Sweden comes forward with a Ballamist, a horse owned by Andrew Ayres, also actually entered for Burley in just a few weeks' time. Ludwig brought him forward for Barbary for leg 3 of the series this year. 55.5 they scored in the dressage on that occasion. But Ludwig, so experienced at the highest level, has been to 2 Olympic Games now and will be representing Sweden at the European Championships a little bit later on this month. Now, in Ludwig's interview this morning, Mark, he mentioned that the horse can get a little tense.
Yeah.
So far, so good.
It's really harmonious, really, and actually rideable. He's not going for, I'll be quiet, really rhythmical, just easy and lovely in the frame. And that rein back was a really nice rein back, and he looks really, so like in that rein back, he didn't pull down on the hand. hopefully they'll like that. So he's not going for a passive sort of quiet round. So the horse obviously come out and letting him ride it. You know, and Ludwig, he looks like he was born on a horse, didn't he, on the flat?
Yeah, it's really smart.
And I think it's a Scandinavian thing, though, because they ride without stirrups for about 18 years. And
what are we looking at in terms of what we should expect from this combination, Sam?
Well, this horse's best ever mark is a 50.1, so they've not actually broken into the 40s, and you wouldn't think that looking at this. You would think that this is a horse who, like Ludwig himself, is very established at this 3-star level, looks competent.
And that walk is quite nice, but he's so clever. They want an extended frame, so the frame was extended, the nose poking. So actually, they like the frame. The legs could have had a bit more purpose and stuff, but that's like an experienced rider. It's a bit like, okay, you haven't got the greatest over track, but actually, I'll show them a frame, and they'll like that. There you go.
I think it definitely suited this horse not to have the pirouettes.
Oh yeah, because did this go to Barbary, this one?
It did.
It lost it a little bit, didn't it, Barbary?
Yeah. Where they did have walk pirouettes in the other 3-star test. There's a huge amount of walk, so which suits some horses and not others. But Ludwig Svenestall.
I mean, they're really trending on the low 40s. That trot work was lovely. If they pull off all their canter work,
I think I had a change problem as well. Yeah, I remember that, Barbary. So the trouble is with the event horses, once a season, you can't really improve something, can you? Because you're doing so much other things, you know. Like, you probably need to work on the changes, but you can't. You're mid-season. Barbary was only what 2.5 weeks ago.
You've got to let them rest after their competition. You've got to keep their fitness ticking over, then keep the jumping, the technical elements of it.
You know, and it'll be he'll have his winter's work. Will we get those changes probably cleaner, and maybe this other rain will be better.
But I think this is a big step forward for the horse. Ludwig said he wanted the conditions. He said the worse the better. So he clearly feels that this is the weak phase. For the horse, on paper, it has been a weak phase. I think he's going to beat that PB for the horse of 50.1. That was 18 months ago at Chatsworth.
Ooh. Yeah. So it's just a bit panicky about the changes, which some of them are. The canter and the way of going and stuff, they'll come. But some horses just have a little bit of a thing about changes, and you can never know until you start with them.
How would you combat that, Mark?
Just do them, really, actually, eventually, probably over a pole, and maybe some, I can't even say it because I'm not allowed to say what you would use as some training implement. It's a confidence thing, isn't it, changes? But for some horses just go, yeah, and others just have a little bit of an issue, and just do them, and they just get over them. Because the horse has a good canter, has a very good jockey, they'll be fine.
He's going to be happy with that. I think he knows he's got a huge chink in the armoury there with those 2 changes. But the rest of it has come up.
He had pretty much everything else there. It was just the changes that caused him problems. But ultimately, there was a huge amount to like.
Oh, lovely way of going. Other than the changes, it's completely on side. You know, and it's because its jumping's probably progressed quicker than its flat work. Which I think is the trouble with event horses, isn't it? Sometimes their their jumping is better than their flat work is, and it doesn't go hand in hand.
How can we look at his jumping, Sam? Because Ludwig this morning looked fairly confident that it wasn't going to be a dressage competition and was doing a bit of a rain dance.
Yeah, Ludwig seems to feel that that's where he's going to, come to the fore. His best finishing score with the horse actually 59. That was in a 2-star at Weston Park. So he does add penalties to that dressage score. He averages 4 faults in the jumping phase. And he's had a few time penalties with him, but those time penalties can often be tactical, that you're producing the horse up the levels, you're introducing him to the jumping aspects of the cross country, and you don't want to push the button too quickly.
Well, we'll wait for Ludwig's score to come in, but in the meantime, let's go down to Alice, because I think I see some blue sky.
I know, we've got blue sky and we're loving it. We've got blue sky and sparkly hats. It couldn't get better. Listen, well done on your mark.
Thank you very much. He was really, really good. I'm so pleased with him.
This is quite a big stage for you. Bramham, you really shot to prominence with that great result in the Young Rider section, but this is your Event Rider Masters debut.
Yes, this is my first one. I'm so excited to be here. It's a fantastic series. It's so much experience for me and him. It's fantastic.
Did you feel the pressure in there?
I did a little bit, but I try not to think about it, try and ride the horse, just try and do my best, really.
And tell us a little bit about your music choices.
I took a long time trying to pick them. I picked songs I like, I picked songs that kind of related to, you know, hard work, because he hasn't been the easiest, and, you know, I just want to show what's best for him, really.
It's really funny, like, we just listen to music, but there's so much personal thought that's gone into these music choices.
Yeah, and it probably took me and my family about 3 hours to try and pick these 3 songs, but, you know, I was happy with them, and, you know, it gave me a beat to ride to, so that was really good.
Listen, a great result, but it is a jumping competition. Have you had a look at the track?
Not yet. I'm going to in a minute. I'm quite excited. He's a good jumping horse. He's a good cross-country horse, so just fingers crossed.
Yeah, listen, all to play for. Well done. Great start.
Thank you very much.
Well, the music, such a exciting innovation by the Event Rider Masters series that our riders get to choose a couple of tracks to perform their test to. It isn't like traditional music or dressage to music where the movements are performed directly to the tune, but just background sound, and we've seen some very cool selections, and I know we've got a few very exciting ones in store for you. But a new leader, Ludwig Svenestall, goes out in front, 48.4. Personal best for the horse, Sam.
Yeah.
He'll be pleased with that.
I think he will, given the talk that he was talking about earlier, and he said very definitely as well when Alice said, "Will the conditions affect you?" He just straight out said no.
No.
And he's lived up to the talk, because he's pulled out the best for the horse.
Well, long may the blue skies continue. But next to go, we turn our attentions to Harry Zennis. Harry with the ZAM partnership. ZAM, this a horse that's actually 16 years of age now, by Java Tiger, has been such a superstar for Harry over the years, has taken him clear across country at a number of 4 stars. Actually was top 25 at Le Moulin a little bit earlier on this year. Finished 4th at this level at Chatsworth in May as well. And Harry has been training with Jill Watson and Gemma Tattersall for a number of years, was based with Nicky Ryan, and spent some time with William Foxpitt. So he's a young man that has a huge amount of experience.
Yeah, you have to go back to 2013 to find the best test for ZAM for this horse. He's 16 years old now, but back in 2013 at Belton, a 41.3. That's the best score they put on the board. But more recent times, they're averaging in those low 50s, and at 3 stars, there's actually can be mid to higher 50s. So we'll see what ZAM comes up with today. Very experienced. Harry will be delighted to be here.
And I think those marks are because actually just the sort of the horse lacks a little scope within his paces. So actually, again, as we've been saying with a few earlier, it's all about the training and the obedience, because he's just a little bit lacking sort of expression and look at me. So he cannot make a mistake, and that's trouble. Is you cannot make mistakes when you got less scope in your pace. You can see like there in that shoulder in, very obedient, but lacking sort of activity in this half pass. See, struggling a little bit, just losing activity and engagement, and it just comes down to the 6 and the 6.5s. They obviously like the positioning there, so they go for 7. But Harry again knows how to get every mark out of a test. He might be young, but he's fairly experienced, isn't he?
Yeah, but both these guys are. They're very experienced, and it's the interesting angle with him as well, as we talk about sort of 4 years ago that they had their best test, and he's 16. We saw Noreo at Barbary pulling out a career best. I mean, some horses can physically, with age, their paces can suffer a little bit. Sometimes with the training they get better.
Or not there. So Harry obviously went for the trot work, keeping it really nice and quiet, knowing that pan was about to boil over.
Yeah.
You know, we can't see from here, but obviously the lid had fell off then. And that's why probably we were thinking needed more in the trot, but Harry was like, no. Unfortunately, it's just bitten him in the bum.
You guys are always very good about that in here, saying that you don't know what people are sat on, and that's where you can see the skill of Harry. Is that we just thought, oh, you know, it's nice, just going around doing a nice relaxed test.
Yeah, but clearly
there's a bit of bubbling going on under the surface.
Yeah, which was a shame, because actually it's very expensive because they had explosion. But the canter, the horse has a very nice canter. And the change was very good. So Harry probably thinks maybe that's what he does. sort of quietly goes through the trot, gets away with the walk, and then gets into the canter, because the canter is good quality, and that's where the marks obviously will come up. But unfortunately, after the explosion in the walk, but he is pulling the marks back up because he's riding that canter. Just losing a little bit of engagement there, and you can see that it's getting a little bit lumpy in the canter. We like the word lumpy.
Little bit, yeah, wow, getting technical again. Had a little bit of left bend.
Yeah, he did, but a bit lumpy. But yeah, but they went for 7. No, but this is where the horse is quite good on the serpentine. It really actually sits.
You can, yeah, we saw earlier some horses that those serpentines can show up whether they're the quality of the canter basically, and he manages to. You wouldn't.
Yeah, and that's the thing from a judge's point of view. That movement, I think Chris Bartle designed these tests, didn't he? They're a bit like, what can I make that actually makes the judge's life really easy? Let's do a serpentine. They don't have to work that hard on about quality of canter. Their movement will show them. It's a bit like a course designer, I think, with their fences. It's all a test, isn't it? You know, the movements. It's like a course designer writing a dressage test. They put the movements in to test and to show the judges. Has it got a good canter? We'll do a serpentine. No, it hasn't. End of.
It is very much that, though, isn't it?
Totally. And it's a bit like, like a centre line. It's like, can it hold a line? Can it jump a skinny? It's the same thing. And that's the only reason I ever get my event riders on side is when I do the whole thing of analogies to jumping. Like,
if you relate it to
imagine you
jumping.
come into this.
They pay
Imagine you come into that. And they get it a bit. Yeah.
That's a fair comment, to be fair.
You can only work on jumping analogies. And it is.
Yeah.
That's why, you know, I was going about the link, but it's a massive link.
We don't often use the expression lumpy when we're talking about dressage and cross country, to be fair.
No, but if you have a lumpy canter going into a show jump, you're going to have it down.
Yeah, probably. It's not going to be a good thing.
You could learn a lot sat here, Sam Watson.
I think this is going to be an eye-opening experience.
It is. Well, joining me in the studio for the dressage commentary, our dressage expert international judge Mark Ruddock, and from Equiratings, Sam Watson as well. Harry Dennis and Sam just finished their test. So the first 9 combinations have completed their test. We'll get a score for Harry in just a few moments' time. I don't think he's going to challenge the new leader of Ludwig Svenestall for Sweden, 48.4. That is the score to beat as things stand. And we had an expensive mistake in that walk, Mark. How will that go through to the collectives?
It'll be the submission mark will be where they'll hit it. The walk, because the horse showed a good walk before it exploded, so it's just a submission. And that's ended up quite a good score, hasn't it, really?
So 54.7 goes 5th, Harry Dennis. But let's go down to Alice.
Harry? Yeah, 9 riders gone, and Ludwig joins me now, who's the current leader. A PB, you can't ask for more than that.
No, I'm very happy with the horse. He's been very tense before, and now he was much more relaxed, and now I was really happy with him.
He's a horse that I know has been quite a project because he had maybe a bit of a checkered start to his career.
Yeah, I mean, it's always with some hot horses. It's about how you start them and consistency. And I think he had a good start, and he went to another rider. And it's always these things that makes it then take more time when you want to perform at this level.
He's clearly got a lot of potential, though, and a horse that you've got belief in.
Yeah, I think he's a really super horse, and I've been working now with him for 2 years, and we're going to Berlin next, and I think that's the kind of track that will really make him perform and use the cross-country and his thoroughbred to get a good placing.
And Ludwig, it's great to have you part of the Event Rider Masters. So many nations represented. You now one of the stars of the Swedish team and heading to the European Championships. What's been the Swedish take on this international series?
We had a couple that went to Wiesbaden and they loved it. I think all event riders think it's so exciting and it's so well made, and just this SAP audience judging is just a fantastic way of interact with the audience and make it much more interesting. And this is what will make eventing a much more attractive sport. So I think it's really fantastic.
Now, we need your involvement because so far your best score in the Masters is over 80. Now, this is not going to be a winning score. Come on, Ludwig. We need you up there on that podium.
Yeah, no, this show is to show that it's meant to happen. So fingers crossed it will.
Okay, fingers crossed it does. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, the first session of dressage has been completed. Mark, What were your initial thoughts?
I think really good. I think that's probably the best first session I've seen, actually, for consistency, nice judging. Yeah, good. I think it sets the scene for the day.
Perfect. Sam, 2 personal bests, Ludwig and Umberto. They're currently sitting top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, great to see that. And I think in terms of the overall competition, let's not forget about Beanie Sturgis second into the ring. I think she did her job in there today with Lebowski. And Ludwig, I have had a little look there. 2.4 time penalties and a CCI 3 star at the beginning of the season at Ballindennis. That was a quick round. And he could be a real contender here. He seems confident. He wants to pull his Event Rider Masters scores better, make them better. So this is the time to do it.
And he's hugely experienced. We do really have a top-class field here. We can't forget that we have 4 of the world's top 10 coming forward, and it is about the series as well. We're going to see some series contenders as well, Sam.
Definitely. It has started well. I think what you don't usually see in that first session are a couple of contenders to finish on the podium, and that's what I love about Gatcombe, is that this competition is wide open. But of course, where our eyes are drawn to the talent that we've got coming up, and it's going to be a very exciting afternoon ahead of us.
Well, we've got lots more to bring you, but let's go back to Alice, who is talking to Harry.
Yeah, Harry Zennis joins me with Zam. This is a horse we've all loved watching you with. He's been a mate for a long time.
Yeah, we've been together a few years, done I think 7 or 8 4-stars together. So he's been a really good friend of mine for many years.
Well, good to see you on the Event Rider Masters platform. Not a bad score.
No, I was quite pleased with him. This is his first run since Le Moulin. He was a bit naughty, but luckily he kind of settled down a bit, so that was good. It didn't kind of carry on to being too bad.
What is it about these older boys? You know, you think he should know better by now?
Yeah, I think he's actually getting worse with age, so he seems to be messing around more as he gets older. So he's been quite good this year. This was probably one of his worst appearances, maybe. But you know, he normally does settle down at Burley, hopefully.
And just have you had a chance to have a look at the track?
No, not yet. Haven't had a look here, but I've ridden here a few times on him. It's always very twisty, very hilly, and the time's quite tight. So hopefully we can whiz round there as fast as we can.
Yeah, because speed and jumping are your trump card.
Yeah, no, normally cross country is very good. So hopefully we'll jump a clear round tomorrow, fingers crossed maybe, and then a good speedy cross country round.
Yeah, come on, Harry, we need you to be a climber.
Yeah, that's what I want to be. I'd love to be up there, so that'll be good.
Okay, good luck.
Thanks very much.
Well, Gatcombe is certainly the place to climb. Lots to look forward to still with the rest of the dressage later on today, but the first session of dressage has been concluded. And one of the exciting things about the Event Rider Masters series is our partnership with technology giants SAP. There's lots of different ways for you at home to get involved. Let's take a look.
I'm Henrike Pates. I'm heading the equestrian sponsorship program at SAP. The partnership we have as official technology sponsor of Event Rider Masters is a co-innovation partnership. ERM and SAP will work together on finding challenges and solutions which we can solve with technology for the future of the sport. Spectator judging literally puts fans in the judge's seat. It allows them to co-score all of the riders live, compare their results in the app and even see the results on the big screens afterwards. The cross-country phase poses a particular challenge for the fans because the riders are out in the field and the fans cannot follow all of the time, so they miss information. So what we do as SAP is we are putting sensors on the riders to bring that data live for the fans to now have all the information at hand. They have an app where they can join the riders in the saddle and have a cockpit view of all the data. We are actually really excited about our relationship with Event Rider Masters. It's a true co-innovation partnership which already brought about a lot of exciting formats for the fans, and we are looking forward to what comes next.
Well, let's take a look at how the leaderboard stands after the first session of dressage. Sweden out in front, Ludwig Svenestål, an excellent personal best with Ball & Mist, 48.4. Phoenix Tanamea and Umberto Riva making their Event Rider Masters debut, also a huge personal best, 50 52.5 sees them sitting in second. Ben Hobday, Siletto, they were first into the arena. Good test from them. But Lebowski, a climber to keep an eye on. Beanie Sturgis for Great Britain, 52.2. They're quite capable of finishing on that score and quite capable of finishing on the podium come tomorrow afternoon as well. So that is the leaderboard after the first session of dressage. But as we just saw with SAP, you at home can get involved as well with the SAP app. And Mark, we're going to get you to do this a little bit later on. As a judge, we want to get your take on it.
Right. Right, that'll be interesting to see how out of sync I am with them two. It will be interesting because actually, as a judge, I'm always more generous than normally my other two colleagues. And in dressage now, we have to write sheets when we're out of sync over 7%. So it's quite often, it's an open discussion, and we have to fill out a form as to what we saw as to why the marks. FEI, they have to do 5%. So they have to discuss any oddments in their judging.
It differs, and everybody sees it from a different perspective. They're situated at different points, and you at home are situated obviously on your sofa, at your laptop, wherever you may be, and this is how you judge it. Ludwig Svenestål and Berto Rivi, you both agreed to be near the top spot. Knowledgeable audience, because not a huge amount of difference in those scores, and they currently sit in the two top places. Lebowski, 52.5, very close as well, 52.2. He was scored by our actual ground jury. So this excellent innovation, SAP audience judging app, you can download it for free in your app store. You can go online, download it onto your smartphone, and you can get involved in judging all of our combinations. We'll be doing it here in the studio a little bit later on throughout the day as well. But Sam, Equa Ratings have seen 2 personal bests in the first session. What more can you expect for changing at the top of the leaderboard? We know it's going to change. It's constantly revolving. How far do you think we're going to go down?
Yeah, well, initially, I think because the riders know what the challenge is here this weekend, we're not seeing the flashiest dressage horses on paper, but there's still some in there. So we're being a bit conservative with the amount of people that could go sub 40. We think maybe 2.
2? Okay, we like an Equa Ratings prediction.
Do you? Okay, well, we'll see. Can I say 2 or 3?
Yeah.
It's not very precise.
Yeah, well, there we go. Well.
It's because he's seen they're all actually going better than they should be.
Yeah, and also the conditions are, thankfully, the sun's coming out. I don't know how long that's going to last. We are in England. It is August. Anything can happen at any time of year, to be honest. It'd be worse if we were in Ireland. But as well, the judges have rewarded where they should have. I thought Ludwig, he was trending around 43 when he started, and he had lovely trot work came in, and you forget the problems that he had in the canter work. So he is our leader, but when he has that winter session, as you say, and fixes those changes, he's going to be a real competitor on this horse.
Yeah,
lots to take forward for the future. Well, one lady who actually finished on the podium in the series last year is Janelle Price. Let's catch up with her. She's talking to Alice.
Yeah, Janelle joins me now, and Janelle, so great to see you and blooming.
Sadly, but hopefully not for too much longer.
Yeah, you're so funny because you're such a professional athlete. The kind of pregnancy thing is something that's really getting in the way.
It really is a hindrance. Yeah, obviously it's first time for me. I can't say I hugely recommend it, but I think I'm near to the finish line and hope to be back in business soon.
And when are you due?
Tuesday is actual D-Day, but today would suit me really well.
But you're amazing because Lucy Jackson is also a Kiwi rider. She's just had a baby 2 weeks later, back in the eventing, thick of it and riding around intermediates. You've already got an entry, I see.
Yeah, rightly or wrongly, I have my sights set on Blair, just with the one-horse Classic Moe, who is so well suited to Blair, and I would have loved to have got to Burley, but I've sort of been told that's probably a little bit too ambitious, so I decided Blair was a good negotiation, a good happy medium. Whether or not I get there is another question, but you've got to have something in sights.
Hang on, I think we've got an entry before Blair, haven't we?
Well, I kind of need one in order to get to Blair, so yeah, we have got an entry at Summerford Park, but like I said, maybe we'll get there, maybe we won't, but yeah, time will tell.
Yeah, well listen, I mean, if anyone's going to, you are, and you and Tim, such an incredible duo, and you were world number 2 when you fell pregnant. You've still got a very strong team of horses waiting at home for you.
Yeah, I think you know, Tim, he might actually agree now that he'd be happy to have me back. I think earlier on in the season he thought it was great getting all the focus, all the rides, but I think quietly he'll be happy to have me back as well. So looking forward to getting back amongst it. It has been quite difficult watching from the sidelines, and even though, yeah, it'll be a bit of a late run for me this autumn, hope to get a little bit in.
And your competitive nature, can you put that to one side a little bit, or psychologically has this been like a real fight throughout?
It's been a real fight throughout. And watching is not easy. Yeah, I'm the worst watcher. Yeah.
You get nervous?
I did get very nervous at the start. Now I sort of get more angry, happy or sad, I think.
Have you been giving Tim a really hard time?
Yeah, I probably have. I think we've sort of learnt a bit of a system now, and you know, there's times where you've got to say what you really think and other times where you shouldn't.
What, have you learned that?
Well, I've learnt it. I can't always control it, but I've learnt it. And
you know now when you say it that was the wrong thing to say?
Sometimes, yes. Sometimes you're best just to go, okay, and walk away. So it has been an interesting learning curve for both of us, and it's amazing actually what you learn from the ground. You know, I definitely have, even from a team point of view with the Kiwi team, I've sort of been on the ground out at Aachen and stuff, so it has been quite an interesting time, but yeah, I don't need to do it again in a hurry.
And from your owner's point of view, huge support from them, because of course, I mean, you are the leading lady rider in the world at the moment, and you know, they're right behind you and right behind you coming back.
Absolutely. I think, you know, there's probably been moments they too have had to just take a moment and watch things unfold, and we all do things differently, but no, very lucky to have a great team of sponsors, owners that have been really patient, and I think everyone's probably more excited about the arrival than I am personally, but they tell me that will all change.
Oh my God. I have to say, I've had 4, and I am looking at you with my jaw completely dropping. The idea of getting back to an event 2 weeks. I know, and loads of you girls out there, message us in, please, supports, and also any name suggestions you've got for Tim and Janelle's baby that's coming up. Do get in touch with us through the Event Rider Masters on Twitter or Facebook, because we want name suggestions. But also, we all wish you so well, but please take this time because it is special. I promise you, I feel a bit of a sap saying that now, but it is a special time. So do enjoy it, and very best of luck. Hope it all goes well.
Thanks, Elle.
We look back forward to seeing you winning, Blair, on that podium.
All right. Well, cheers. Do you know what? You wouldn't put it past her. Will she be on the podium at the end of the season? She is the most incredible lady, isn't she, Sam?
She is. She's so determined and competitive, and you see that. And this has been a struggle for her because she's been on the sidelines. She is so talented. I really do think that. I mean, she's been world #2, but she was second at a 4-star to Ingrid Klimke by 0.1. She had a superb round around WEG with Classic Moe, and she finished in 4th place. She was the fastest person that day on the cross country, but 4th place at a championship, that's no medal. So she wants that 4-star win. She wants those medals, and she is so driven. She's so talented. She's not had a cross country fault at 3 or 4-star level for 2 years. She is at the top of her game. So to have a season off when you're at the top of your game and you're that talented, you can see and I love the honesty. She's just been so open about it, and that's the best way to be. Don't pretend that you want to be on the sidelines. Just be honest about it.
And I'm sure Tim will be pleased to have her back, but I think he might be trying to keep 1 or 2 of those horses as well.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I would love to be a fly on the wall in the Price household at times, but they're a great couple. Tim, I mean, they're both actually very laid back in their own ways and lovely people, but serious competitors underneath it all.
They are serious competitors, and Janelle being off games this year has meant that Tim has had a serious amount of horsepower, and he is one of the contenders in our series. Let's take a closer look at some of the key people to keep an eye on later today.
Leg 5 in the 2017 Event Rider Masters Series has reached its most defining point of the season. With just 3 legs remaining and the riders' top 4 results counting towards their series score, this is where leaderboard points really start to count.
This is the turning point in the series. This is where the riders who want to win this Event Rider Masters Series, they're turning for home now. We know that this weekend, someone could emerge from the pack.
British rider Gemma Tattersall currently leads the series after finishing top of the podium at Leg 1 in Chatsworth and 4th last time out at Jardine.
Time here is really, really tight. Arctic Soul is a full thoroughbred horse, and he is super fast.
After great results at Barbary Castle and Jardine, Kiwi rider Tim Price returns to Leg 5, looking to make his mark on the Event Rider Masters leaderboard.
it's there for the taking in a way. I think you've got to have the right horse for the job, but then you've just got to go hard in all three phases and pull it off. The recipe's as simple as that.
Reigning Event Rider Masters Series champion Oliver Townend currently sits in 15th overall. But it wasn't until this time last year at Gatcombe that his 2016 campaign really started.
This is the turning point in the ERM series for the season. Now it's time to really start and knuckle down and try and get the ERM points.
Who will have what it takes to rise to the top in the battle for the coveted Event Rider Masters title?
Well, he is one to keep an eye on, Tim Price, but there are so many contenders this weekend. Sam, talk to us a little bit about some of the key ones to keep an eye on, because Oliver Townend, winner here 12 months ago, his 2016 challenge didn't actually start until Gatcombe.
That is the thing about this weekend, is that there are a good few people in there. Tim Price is one of them. Sir Mark Todd is another. Victoria Panazon is a potential dark horse as well. But they've got to kick it. They've got to have a big result this weekend. You've only got 3 legs left. We've been talking about them wanting to get to 100 points. 30 points for winning, 28 for second, 26. So you're looking at over 4 legs. You need really 4 podium finishes if you want to win this series. And Gemma Tattersall, she was the one who missed out last year. She was right up there the whole way through the series, and then she ended up missing the podium at Blenheim. So she'll want to put that right this year, and I do think she's going to be difficult to catch. Sarah Cohen is up there, but she's only got 1 horse, which is Treason, who's here. I think you'll have a big weekend, and I think they will finish on the podium overall in the series, but Gemma's the one who could take it.
Well, that series leaderboard, let's take a look at how it shapes up. 4 legs have been completed, 3 more to go, and it is the best 4 finishing scores to count. Thomas Carlyle, Andrew Nicholson, Bettina Hoy, they're not here this weekend, which means it opens the door for Sir Mark Todd, Marcio George, Tim Price, Vittoria Panazon for Italy as well. All come here with a very strong hand. And they'll be looking to challenge the 2 British ladies who are out in front at the moment, Gemma Tattersall and Sarah Cohen. Only 5 points between them. That is not a huge amount, Sam. You get 30 points for a win. It goes down in increments of 2 points after that. So 28 for second, 26 for third. If Sarah Cohen could win this weekend, then she would surely pull out an advantage over Gemma Tattersall.
She should do, but if they were first and second, then I mean she's got that 5-point cushion. But they are the big contenders here this weekend. They're both really suited to Gatcombe. So it is a fascinating weekend. It is nail biting, and I think that just because Oliver managed to do it last year, he managed to win Gatcombe, win Blair, and be second at Blenheim. And but I think that was incredible, and I can't see that happening again this year.
It would be hard to do it again, and the fields are so top class here. They really, really are. So let's go back down to Alice, because the sun is still shining and there is lots more to come.
Yeah, Nicole, I bet you wish you were out here, actually. Compared to when we started this morning, it was torrential biblical rain. It's now gorgeous. And I'm joined by Jackie Green, who does all the organising for the Kiwi team while they're in Great Britain. And I can tell you that is a monumental task. It must be like herding cats, isn't it?
It's very like herding cats. It really is. I mean, they are a great bunch, but organisation-wise, I just say rock up here, and then they turn up, and then they ride amazing, and then they all go home, and it just works.
It does seem to just work, but it is a well-oiled machine, because you are on the other side of the world, or they are on the other side of the world, from all of their support crew.
They have great support crews over here, and they have a great support crew with the Team New Zealand backing. We have Graham Tom, who's our new manager, and he's a very skilled, organised person, and he's taken over the financing, etc. And he's doing a really great job, and he's getting to know the team, and they're getting to know him. Eric Devander set up a great system for us, and we run with that. And it just keeps evolving, and it just gets better and better. And what can you say when you've got riders like Sir Mark Todd? He's still, time and time again, the best of the Kiwis. We've got great up-and-coming riders, and we've got a huge buck of talent in the middle that just keeps getting out there and getting the job done.
Yeah, it's incredible. We've just been talking to Janelle Price, who is due on Tuesday, but has got an entry for an event in 2 weeks' time. And the commitment of the riders is beyond, it's mental.
Janelle's entered herself for Summerford, which is actually 10 days after the due date of the baby, and that's a warm-up for Blair Castle with Classic Moe. So she's pretty determined. So this baby's coming with her one way or another, I think.
But we joke about it, but it is a huge thing to pick yourself up, and we've read it through the Price story, and take yourself to the other side of the world for your sport. And clearly Great Britain and Europe is the hub of our sport. But I mean, from a mental point of view, does that set these riders apart?
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. I mean, this is where they get the drive and the determination from. It's not
National viewers who haven't necessarily been here before, the setup for the sport here?
The sport here is in another league. I mean, I'm a sun lover, and this English summer does not suit me. But look at what we're competing on. I mean, this is why Europe is amazing. You wouldn't get this in the middle of an American summer. You certainly wouldn't get it in Australia. Our venues, our locations, they're owner-friendly, they're spectator-friendly. People bring their dogs, their kids. It's a huge part of a British day out. I mean, every year people wake up and go, it's Gatcombe weekend. We'll take our picnic, we'll put our boots on, and we'll go and have fun. And they do that week in and week out, and we are uniquely lucky.
Well, listen, it's great to talk to you, great to get an insight into that Kiwi setup, and fantastic for them to have you, Jackie, as well. Thanks for joining us.
I think I'm the lucky one.
Thanks.
Well, it really does take a whole team to get involved in championship level and at this level in the Event Rider Masters series. But what can this next man do? We're back up and running after the first break, and he is a firm favourite in the Event Rider Masters team. David Britnell made his Event Rider Masters debut at Chatsworth this year, propelled himself into the limelight, finished in a very, very good 16th place on that occasion, and went very well at Barbary to finish 13th as well. Just missed out on a position on the rolling podium when he finished his cross-country round. But David Britnell comes forward with continuity, and this is a horse that has taken him all the way through the levels, from Pony Club right up to being top 15 at an Event Rider Masters leg at Barbary. So David Britnell, continuity coming forward. And I think let's talk a little bit before we start about David's music, because he was telling us yesterday that he had some rather cool music to come down the centre line to. MC Hammer, can't touch this.
Well, that'll wake him up, won't it? Don't touch this. Anyway.
So music is beyond me, really. I mean, I'm looking at 51.1 from Barbary, but yeah, no, it is. It's good. I think the music is important. It creates the mood. Like you're trying to win marks off judges. It is we've talked about his performance, so yeah, it all contributes.
My only worry about the music is that actually it is quite,
it's quite
beaty. But actually, to be fair, it just makes me wonder: is he rushing it to this music? Because I don't care when you ride at home and the radio and things, you do find yourself somehow riding to a beat, and I think he is riding to the beat.
Unless you're tone deaf.
Unless you're tone deaf,
but I don't think I can dance to a beat, let alone ride to one.
I don't think Jen Holder's front would be tone deaf. So for me, it all needs to slow down. It's attacking, but I wonder if he could probably need next time he's,
Just went for a little bit too much in that extended
it's just
drop.
all a bit quick. I liked what he was doing around the edge, and I thought, oh yeah, he's going for it. But actually, I think we need calmer music next time, David. Probably Swan Lake or something.
Fine line, isn't it? We talked this morning about some of the riders trying to be a bit more positive, and I think you're dead right. It has just gone over the edge.
Yeah, I am blaming his music, although we like it because it's hammer time. But like there, because he rushes it a little bit, he loses the engagement.
But it's again, we see the good judging. He had that problem in the extended trot, but a lovely halt. They immediately reward him with an 8.
Exactly, and the rain back was very good as well. That hopefully he's going to have quiet walk music.
I think it's still MC
Still
Hammer
MC Hammer,
for a moment,
right.
yes.
Right. Nicole, you mentioned it earlier. He is inexperienced. This is his 4th CIC 3-star for David. Continuity is the only horse. David's competed one other horse in one international event at 1-star level, and the rest of his international results have only been with Continuity. So he hasn't got that experience yet. So this is his 5th CIC 3-star. He's not gone above that level yet. So he's learning. He's doing a good job in here.
Yeah, the walk was really good. That really good purpose, and hopefully I got a really good mark. The transition into the canter was nice. So I just want to slow down, David. If I could shout slow down to him, I could send a vibe.
They whistle in the show jump, and then when you want you to go faster.
He's got some Ed Sheeran coming.
Right, we need Ed soon.
Okay.
Hopefully something soothing. Because
which Ed one has he got? Has he got a quiet Ed or has he got a fast Ed? Does Ed do
Shape
fast?
of You.
Ed doesn't do fast, does he? So he has a little bit more engagement, a little more balance, and I think that. I think the two mistakes he's made is been due to speed. Remember, speed kills. Speed kills marks, it does.
Well, I have to say, 52.9 he's trending at the moment. His personal best at Barbary, 51.1. He's not a million miles off it.
No, without that breaking that extended cat trot and the slightly iffy change, he'd have been below it. Because what I would say has improved since I last saw him is this is better. He'll slow down now.
Actually, you could almost see him, couldn't you?
Well, I believe you could.
Yeah.
See, like there, he's got a better canter. Yeah. So we'd hope this change will be better because he's got a bit more balance because it's all a bit more, just a little bit more edged out. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I think
we've found
the secret, haven't we?
We have.
Training
it's the music.
Yeah.
But it's got to be the right music.
And I think David's really proved, actually, it was quite funny and it was quite, woke us all up, but actually it did make him hurry. Because Ed Sheeran's calmed it all down.
Ed Sheeran is the answer to everyone's problems.
Or Coldplay. Yeah, so it's just quite interesting because you cannot help but then it's quite loud out there, isn't it?
It is,
We're miles away from it.
Well, we talk about speed in the dressage. This guy is quick across the country. 0.8 of a time fault at Hartbury, 2.8 at Chatsworth. That was very quick, and 5.6 at Barbary. That was quick because Barbary was tough. So
he has been super quick across the country, and the loudest cheer from the crowd so far, I think. David Britnell finishes his test with continuity, and he'll be looking around the early to mid-50s. Isn't going to challenge his personal best from Barbary, but I have to say, Sam, you've just mentioned the jumping. He can have the odd pole in the show jumping, but fast across the country, and that is key here.
Yeah, that will be key. Again, Elizabeth Power is about 55 going out onto the cross country, finished up on the podium last year, so he's going to be just below 55. Really, he's going to have to leave all the show jumps up and then pull out his A game on cross country day to really impact the leaderboard at the end of the competition. And I think he'll be disappointed. I think he'll be looking for the feedback on that one because he's at a point now where he's saying, oh, come on, I've got to get into the 40s at 3-star. He's a competitive guy. I think this series, we see there 53.8, so you can easily shave 4 marks off that and be in the 40s, easily. And he'll probably be disappointed. He's a competitor.
He's looking forward to the future as well. You know, he has made such an impression, and I think it's easy to forget he's still relatively inexperienced at this level. But into the top 5, David Britnell, continuity. One to keep an eye on across the country on the Gatcombe Hills tomorrow afternoon. But we're in our second session of dressage, and let's take a look at the running order. 7 combinations coming forward. And Sam, equa ratings at ones to watch.
Well, Xavier Fair, the horse that was third at Badminton this year, and Tim Price, and let's not forget Saladoon, Elizabeth Power from Ireland. They were third here last year. That was with a show jump down. They were very good in Aachen. They jumped a clear around there. Their CIC 3-star form is fantastic, and they probably had the best cross-country round that the Masters has ever seen, which was the Chatsworth round. We wouldn't usually promote people being far inside the time because it doesn't gain you an advantage, but they were 20 seconds inside the time at Chatsworth. That is phenomenal speed. So this competition this weekend is made for that Saladoon.
And actually, Saladoon last year, Izib had a really nasty moment in the first water, in so much as the horse almost lay down. He stumbled really badly. They recovered very well, but they came to a proper standstill. They ended up 3 seconds over the time. They would have been inside the time without that mistake.
They bowed to the crowd.
They did bow to the crowd. They'll be looking to do so again this weekend. But first, let's welcome Louise Harwood with her own homebred Mr. Potts. It's a horse that is actually the nephew to Louise's 4-star brothers, bit of a Barney and partly Pickled, who really shot her onto the top of the scene.
God, she knows her family trees, this girl. That is good research. That is very good. Mr. Potts, he's completed 10 4-stars.
He's a really underrated horse, isn't he? Because he's been so experienced.
He's a monkey, though. I mean, he's only jumped clear in 3 of those 10. So, but he'll have his cheeky 20 and then happily canter around the rest of it. But very, very experienced.
Started off really solidly. I'm finding this music much more calming, actually. So, just the horse could be a little bit more supple in the half passes and the lateral work, but very good in the rhythm. You can see he could just step his hind legs a little bit more underneath his body.
Yeah,
like
so
in that medium trot. He could just step more under from behind.
They are currently trending just below their personal best, which was a 46.3 at Gatcombe in 2014, so 3 years ago.
Not for long.
He's having a bit of a look around there, isn't he, Mark?
He's having a peek.
Unfortunately, he walked into the halt, which the judges don't like, because at this level they expect they're engaged enough that they go directly into the halt. And then he just thought he'd have a little stare around. It is out into the warm-up, isn't it, the stare? The warm-up's just outside there. So that will be quite low marking. And then she ended up with quite a lot of angle in the shoulder in, which disturbed the rhythm, as you saw. And then he went a bit against the hand, so a little bit of an expensive 2 movements.
Too much angle, that can happen. That's something that you hear every now and then, and pretty obvious there.
Yeah, we could really see it. It's a difficult thing because actually a horse on 3 tracks isn't much, but all riders seem to think the judges need to see a lot, and then he shows so much. But again, where you're sat, some judges say too much angle, but the other side judge both thought it was just about right, so you can't win. Again, really quite nice and easy walk, but some tension now, unfortunately, but tactfully ridden. You can just see that's going to be expensive. Now he's going to have a bit of a bit. Right. He unfortunately made quite a large meal of that, which would be expensive.
There's a bit of bend there.
Nice bit of bend. She's obviously going for. No, but then we've got that bend, and he's now spooking at the. So you can see how he's got really tight in his back. The canter's gone all really short, and it's cantering really tight and losing rhythm. I would imagine the change isn't going to be easy because he's so tight behind the saddle. Breathing a bit now, but it's.
So that's the difference. We were talking about Harry Mead and Zam, how in the counter-canter they just nothing changed.
Nothing changed.
There, that definitely you can see the tension.
Yeah, and you could see the Shetland pony to normal pony Shetland, and it was all tight, and that changed and couldn't come through. So the horse actually was clever and swung his bottom in to allow the change. The judge one of the judges probably won't have seen the swing, but the side judge will have seen it a lot and will really mark it down. And like she can't really ride him forward in that extended canter on that circle, that medium canter on the circle. But she's trying to get the marks back by actually giving him some bend. But the trouble is when they're really, really tense and they come to this counter canter, it's horrendous, isn't it? They just suck back at you. You see how much leg she's having to use there?
Yeah.
Because he's like, I'm tight, I'm tight, I'm tight. And she'll be like, you see how she's really trying to keep her seat so he doesn't throw her and put a slip a change in when she's not ready. Because when they're tense, the minute you move your butt, that was a good change. The minute you move your butt cheek, they're like, oh, you want to change? Because horses would rather be cantering on the true leg, so that's the trouble. Right, and then we've got, he's allowing her now to ride him, so that was a better medium to extended. Yeah. Should be quite annoyed that he's now started to. So he started well,
yeah.
Blip in the middle, and now we're breathing again for a nice ending. It's a shame because he really has ability, this horse. But he obviously has a slight side to him. He's saying about his cross-country little
cheeky streak in him.
Yeah.
You can see him straight away after the whole head straight up, going, all right, who's around? Who saw that?
I know, but like I've never been to 10 4-stars in my life.
No, no, he's pretending he's not at all experienced.
Look.
So that is it's a 15th CIC 3-star since 2010, and he's averaging a 54.7. It's going to be probably just a little bit above that, but that is Mr. Potts in the first phase, unfortunately.
So Louise Harwood and Mr. Potts finishing their test, and we'll wait for her score to come in. Isn't going to challenge our leader, Ludwig Svenestål for Sweden, still out in front on that penalty score of 48. He's the one to beat at the moment. We're well, we've had one Swedish rider on the podium, Sara Olgertsson Ossolt. And Reality 39 finished third in Wiesbaden. They're the only Swedish combination to actually have finished on an Event Rider Masters podium. So will we see another this weekend? Well, we'll have to wait and see. But Louise Harwood for Great Britain, Mr. Potts, they've done all they can do in the dressage, and she'll be looking forward to the jumping phases tomorrow. Still plenty more action to bring you in the dressage though. We're heading up towards the halfway stage. The dressage is seeded, which means that the average score for up to the horse's last 5 runs at the level, then that is taken. The groups are split into 4, and we go into the last session later on. So it will get better and better. But let's go down to Alice, who's talking to one of the fan favourites in the Event Rider Masters series, and it is David Britnell.
I know, Nicole, you really need to contain yourself. David's become such one of the big favourites of the Event Rider Masters. You were really pleased with your boy today.
Yeah, over the moon. We've put a lot of effort in to improve his dressage, and I know it was better. So very pleased with the horse. It would have been nice to just have a mark a little bit better for him, but there was a break in the extended trot and a little bit of positive tension, I think. But yeah, he was much better, and his efforts paid off. So we'll keep up this standard, and we should get better marks throughout the season.
And you've really enjoyed your experience of the 2 legs that you've taken part in.
Yeah, massively so. I love the opportunity to be able to come here and take part in the Event Rider Masters series. It's up to our game. It's certainly made us try a lot harder because we're up there with the names we're with, so it makes you work that bit harder to come out and do your best.
I've just got to quickly ask you, because obviously we've got you on telly, what has happened to your eye? That's a proper shiner.
Pony Club era. I wouldn't tell it. I would tell all my kids never to go where I went, but yeah, a knee on a 4-year-old got me at home. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, but you live and learn.
Well, listen, good luck with the rest of the competition.
Thank you very much, guys. Cheers.
So next to go, Paul Sims for Great Britain comes forward with Calidor for his long-time owners Edna and Henry Harding. And this is a combination actually that have been in the top 10 on numerous occasions at this level, and actually went double clear at Blenheim a couple of years ago, 4th at Bramham back in 2013, finished on their dressage score on that occasion, Sam. Everybody knows Equa Ratings love an FOD.
Oh, we love an FOD. And Paul can do dressage too as well. His good horse Glenn Garnock, who's done a lot of 4-stars with, he got to a 40.7 in a CIC 3-star. He's actually not been at Gatcombe CIC 3-star before, Paul, so this is his first time in this class at this venue.
As you were saying, he can ride. I thought he's come in, attacked it. The horse is quite gifted and talented. Unfortunate, lovely hold, but the horse actually wasn't stationary enough, so they will punish that. He could do with a little bit more suppleness in the lateral work. But like Paul can sit on a horse and he can ride it, and he there he positions it. The half passes have been really nice and supple, and we're looking for crossing of the hind leg, and he was clearly did it on both reins. It looks mentally will look good, but we said that earlier, but something, and then the walk really shows it really.
3 6s for the halt and immobility.
Yeah,
and
that was generous.
Yeah,
there was no immobility. Well, a squeak.
Well, we like a generous judge.
We do, but actually, to be fair, you see, when they come in and ride, you do slightly go, oh, give him a 6, because actually you're liking what he's done and the way he's riding.
But you drop the mark because he wasn't.
Yeah.
If you're dropping a mark from a 7.5 or a 7,
no,
6 feels all right. If you already had a 6,
start at 10.
Oh, start at 10, all right.
10. We start at 10 and work down.
They obviously don't start at your 10 in your dressage test, Sam.
I got a 10 for my final halt. They were so relieved it was over.
Yeah. No, we do. Hopefully, we start at 10 and work down. We don't start at 1.
Problems in that canter half-pass mark.
So the walk was very good, and then he just was resisting the bend. I think the trouble is, sometimes it is when they get into canter, they're like, I've kept a lid on it. I think the change isn't going to be easy because he's not really allowing him to make him very supple around that. He wants to bring his head too high a little bit. Yeah. And the change was sort of together, and just, it was as good as he was going to get. But Paul will have been riding that. I think if I really asked for this, I could end up with a 4, where I'll end up with probably a 5.
He doesn't look like he's going to be fast on the hills, the horse. It's kind of a slow
big,
canter, isn't he?
Yeah. Very big, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is he very Irish?
Don't know.
Irish ones are usually...
He's by Clinton.
No, Clinton's
sure.
wobbled. Yeah, yeah. Clinton's foreign, isn't it? So the canter has not had the same quality as a trot, because I think Law's got so much tension. You can see like there, he doesn't really want to bend. And I think that's what the issue was on that first half pass when Paul said bend. And he was then, well, you can do one if you think you're going to bend. So he was very tactful through that bending there. So it's a bit damage limitation now, which is sad because actually it's a really lovely horse.
He's a good reliable jumper in both phases. He's done 7 CIC 3 stars, 100% clear jumping record, 57% clear show jumping record, but he's only averaging 1 penalty in the show jumping, so he's good in both those phases. And his cross-country time average 7.7 time penalties. It's not that high actually.
No.
Horses a bit higher. But Gatcombe will put that under pressure.
Yeah, I just think Paul will be really disappointed because actually you can see the talent in the horse, and it's just slightly has let him down, I think. And Paul's just gone for, we'll just get through the end of this.
When you saw him coming in, you didn't think this was going to be a 55.
No,
you were hoping
not
it
at all.
could be more like a 45.
Yep, totally. That's horses.
So Paul Sims with Calidor, 15 years of age now, Calidor. For owners Edna and Henry Harding, they finished their test here at Gatcombe, leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters Series. Our leader at the moment, Ludvig Svenestål for Sweden, 48.6. But there was a lot to like from that test, Mark. And actually, we see again that when you have a mistake, it's so costly.
Yeah, and the trouble is, like there, one mistake does at this level of these tests, like a jumping round. Once you make one mistake, it does quite often end up affecting the second mistake and the second movement and the third movement. And it's about how quickly you get yourself, pull yourself together and move on. But it actually is quite domino, and that happened in that half pass into the serpentine and then into the change, because the tension he had nowhere to get rid of the tension. So it is just
it was once he went into canter, it just unravelled a bit.
Yeah,
and he couldn't really recover.
Yeah, he'd be disappointed with that.
53, they'd hit a 44.4 at Barbary in a 3-star back in 2014, so it's a long way behind a 44.
But there's plenty to jump, and you say they're a reliable jumper. Ones to keep an eye on tomorrow, Paul Sims and Calidor. But let's go down to Alice.
Yeah, Louise Harwood joins me, and a firm favourite in Mr. Potts in the arena. He was a bit cheeky today.
Yeah, he was quite lively. I sort of went for the don't work him in for too long. And he was just perky and happy, which is great because he went to Ireland last week and did an event, so he's certainly not jaded. He's never done one to music before, so I wonder whether that just perked him up a little bit. But he found a few ghosts down in this bottom corner here.
But it's not like he doesn't know big arenas. He's been to 10 4-stars.
Yes, there's no excuses really, is there? He's just a silly old fool. He's never brilliant at dressage, and it's just a shame. We could do, a mistake-free test is what we need to get in the low 50s. I can't expect a lot better than that really, so.
It's extraordinary because you are literally pint size, and you must have to work so hard to get strong enough to ride these great big horses.
It's definitely not about strength, because strength is never going to win over a big horse. It's all about technique, and I've had to train him over the years, and I've learnt lots in riding him and riding Whitson, who's a big horse, in how to sort of get the horses more collected, get them more ready for the movements, and it's, yeah, I've got better at riding the bigger ones, I think, as the years have gone by.
Because a lot of them you breed yourself, don't you, with your mum?
Yes, well, we haven't bred loads, but we've had one family that have been really, really good. So Mr. Potts' uncles were both 4-star. His mother went intermediate, and he's now, done lots of 4-stars too.
It's an amazing story, absolutely brilliant. I'm sorry he didn't quite nail it today, but good luck with the rest of it.
Thank you very much.
So we'll be looking forward to seeing Louise in the jumping phases tomorrow, but next to go is actually a lady I have picked out as one of my dark horses at the start of the competition. She's just making her final finishing touches before she goes in. And actually, it's important to note, she doesn't have to go in, Mark, until her allotted time. So if we're a moment or so ahead of time, she can take all the time she needs.
Yes, she can. But I'm always suspicious that they get a bit nudgy, maybe being a judge and a rider. I don't like to think
next go is Kirsty Johnson.
that they're going to get on the bell the minute I get around the edge of the arena, and I haven't got the time to do a couple of laps, because they'll be like, well, you didn't come in, you could have spent that time. And I would be like, duh. And my fear is, but she would know her horse, was it better to stay out there, or is she, doesn't she want a couple of laps round? Does she want to get on with it? So, again, you know, and I was thinking, what's 1 more minute going to make if it's going that badly?
Get in and get it done.
Get it done, and if it's going that well, really get in there and get it done. So.
Well, I have to say, this accommodation made their Event Rider Masters debut at Blair last year. Impressed on that occasion because they finished 7th with a double clear. The show jumping there was very influential, but Kirsty added nothing in the jumping phases, from jumping just a few cross-country time to her dressage score. And actually, they've been on good form so far this year. They went to Stragom, the venue for the European Championships for the international class there, a little bit earlier on this year, and finished 4th with another double clear. So a combination very reliable in the jumping phases. If she can be in touch after the dressage, she is one to climb that leaderboard tomorrow. And actually, Kirsty herself, very experienced, finished top 20 at Po 4-star a couple of years ago. That was with Opposition Detective. And so what can she do with this 11-year-old by Mill Law? Kirsty Johnston for Great Britain, WTTL Opposition Sky Law for herself, for John Flood, Denny Russell and John Johnston.
It's smart. It started very smartly. Anyway.
Sam,
Yep.
Equirating stats, what could we expect?
Well, 44.1 their PB. That's Blenheim CCI 3-star last year. So Blenheim was not an easy place to get marks last year. They were doing dressage in the mud, so they'll handle a little bit of soft in the ground here today. Although the arena looks to be holding up fairly well. You can see a few footprints in the corners there.
She's doing a really smart test. They're going to like this because she has it in a lovely frame, lovely length of neck. She rides another one who rides beautifully. Very rhythmical. One movement to another just flows quite easily.
Wearing the white gloves.
Wearing the white, and that's a brave move. That
So
says something.
white gloves, Mark. Talk to us about the white gloves.
If you don't, we have to wear white gloves.
In dressage,
Yeah.
but in eventing you can choose.
I wouldn't. Nobody. Why would anybody? Anybody? But she obviously got real confidence in how good she is in her hands. Because you're drawn to the white gloves and how good are her hands. A perfect pair. So if you've got a slightly iffy hand, which some of us have, wear black.
My left hand misbehaves a bit. So maybe a one white glove, one black glove.
You know, but Kirsty does a lot of normal, pure dressage anyway. So she should be doing I'm going to say, she could have finished that half past a little bit more if she looks back when she reviews, as these riders now do, because they want every mark. She will say she should have finished that half past better on the centre line.
She'll go online, eventridermasters.tv, Mark, because you can catch all of the action again after the competition has completed. And if you missed any of the action from any of the legs earlier on this year, you can go online and watch again as well.
And, you know, really good walk there, really relaxed, marching, the purpose. So this seems to be the crux bit of this test, is this collection. Whether he keeps the sequence. She's very clever rider there. So she went into canter with slightly a long rein, and then now she'll pick it up and get him together. Because she knew if she shortened the reins, he might just get a little bit giddy. She could just keep a little bit more balance in the canter. Did his shoe just fall off then?
I don't know, something went, didn't it?
Something fell off, didn't it? So his canter, her canter, is not as good as the trot and the walk. Funny enough, a little bit flat. Is that a very young horse or not?
11, I think.
So
11,
you could just do with a little bit more together. You see, like he's going a little bit on the forehand. Can you see how she pulls down a little bit into the rein? And as she landed in that canter, the change was nice, but they will say more self-carriage, where the horse, if she let go of those reins, where do you think its head would go? And it gives you the impression it would go down, yeah? So ideally, you would let go of the reins and the horse would stay on its own feet.
But importantly, 44.5 she's trending at the moment.
Yeah, because even though I'd like more engagement and more self-carriage in the canter, it's still doing good work. So it will be 6.5s and 7s, because you can't not.
Look at that 8.
Yeah.
7.5.
Yeah.
It's a very attractive horse. It's a very
Beautiful.
good picture. Rider doing a good job as well. So,
that was Sam's fault.
Sorry.
Quick correction. But what they will like about this horse is how it's lovely in the frame and the mouth, and the nose is just on, you know, in the right place, slightly in front of the vertical, like half an inch.
484. I presume that sometimes you can get the wrong movement, can you?
In the button press.
And that will come through into the next movement then, won't it?
Yeah, which it then came through to that flying change actually, because that was then late behind as well. Because of what had gone wrong, she couldn't get the canter together again. Yeah, so it'll work itself out with the computer.
Yes.
The push and putters get confused sometimes.
But really interesting to see that this horse can score 8s. That's a big thing. 8s put you in the 30s.
Yeah. It's the way of going that put it in the 8s.
And that was a very nice test from a young lady who I think could be about to become our new leader for Great Britain, Kirsty Johnston, WTTL, opposition Skylaw, 48.2. She's trending at the end of her test. But there was a huge amount to like there, Mark.
Yeah, and again, what she can take away is she's got 2 sort of 4s in the test. She's lost a couple of % through 2 movements. And so she can take home, wow, what I can get. Because it was just a mistake. It wasn't intention, it wasn't bad riding, it was just the way some days all your cards don't come out, do they?
It happens, you deal with it, and she dealt with it very quickly, moved on.
Yeah, but she knows there's more score in there. These judges have been really good today. They were really good at Barbary, just giving the marks, and just they're moving on as well. I'm really impressed with that horse.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see it as well. International form this season, averaging a 48.2, but 2 cross-country clears, 1 of those inside the time, and 2 show jumping clears. I think this is an emerging star.
Well, we picked them up as a one to watch, as a dark horse of the competition. I've got high hopes for Kirsty Johnston for the rest of the competition. But let's go down to Alice, who's with Paul Sims.
Well, Nicole, I had to bring all you guys up close to this extraordinary horse because he has to be, Paul, the biggest horse in the Event Rider Masters Leg 5. So. How big is he?
Enormous.
I mean, he really is enormous. He's like 18.2 or something. Yeah. He's huge.
He is pretty ridiculous, but I don't think I've ever sat on a horse that can gallop like him. He is immense.
Well, he was clear inside the time at Bramham, and did you say he was the fastest time at Blair?
Yeah, a couple of years ago in the CIC. He is a cross-country machine, so really looking forward to getting out there.
But, I mean, what's he like in the combinations? Because he is massive.
For a big horse, he is very adjustable. Cross-country would just take a stride out, and it doesn't really look like I've taken a stride out, but yeah, he's pretty good. He's pretty easy to ride cross-country.
But he's got the form, isn't he? I mean, he is a winner.
He is. He was a bit fresh today. He's not done an international for over a year, 14, 15 months, something like that. So he was a bit fresh, and he had a good time in there. But yeah, it's good to have him back and be back on him.
And he's back, as you said. Did he suffer a bit of an injury?
No. I had a fall at the last fence at Tats last year, and it just sort of set him back a little bit. Not really injured, just a bit stiff and a bit. And then he's never been injured, but just daft things, Mercorn and things like that. And then he was fit and ready to come back at the beginning of this year, and he had a colic. Ended up having a bit of a colic up. So yeah, it's just great to have him back and out.
Well, he looks in fantastic shape. Presumably, you're going to be going for it on the cross country.
Hopefully. I mean, see how the jumping goes. He's on a nice enough score for him. He has done better, but like I said, he was fresh today and had a good time in there. So.
Well, we keep saying it, but is a power podiumed on 52 last year, so.
Let's hope so then, we'll be kicking on.
Well, what can this next man do? Because attention turns to a series contender. Tim Price for New Zealand comes forward with Xavier Fair, a horse he owns himself, alongside Nigel Hall, and a long-term supporter of the Prices, Tricia Rickards. A horse that was actually third at Badminton this spring. Went very well at Blair Castle last year. Now, Sam, I'm going to come to you on this one, because at Blair Castle last year, Xavier Fair, the only horse to make the time across the country, one of 2 inside the time at Badminton this spring. That bodes very well for us here on the Gatcombe Hills.
Yeah, I think this is definitely a potential winner of this leg, and there's not too many people that you can say that he's in that. If we were doing betting on this, it'd be in the top 5 on that. Obviously, Badminton was a huge performance for him. He's only a young horse. He's only 11. He's not got to the age where you can say this horse is dead reliable. You know exactly what he's going to produce. So it's one to keep an eye on. But their dressage is really going the right way. They've just peaked with a 42.3. That's their PB, but it's all recent form, all of their best tests.
Can we talk about that test actually? Because Xavier Fair was ridden by Tim's compatriot Jock Paget in Aachen just a few weeks ago, where he did that very, very good dressage.
Yeah, well, there's two tests. So Tim actually has the 42.3, which is in a 2-star at Barbary, but Jock was a 42.6.
Oh, I was nearly there.
So they were so close.
The test started really well. Again, lovely frame, lovely open suppleness. Tim's probably ridden the best transition back after that medium trot there. You know, and the horse is very supple, and this music really actually gives you the rhythm, and it will help Tim keep the rhythm, because it is all about the rhythm. You know, and they're going to like the whole harmony. Could lose, he lost a little bit of engagement there. You saw the trot got a little bit flat towards the centre line. So again, there'll be more engagement, more self-carriage. There's quite a few terms they use, and you get bored of saying the same one at a time, so you mix it up. The horse is very good behind.
Comes off the ground, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Then it just sort of lost it a little bit at the centre line.
Yeah, and I think the trouble is with the centre line on grass is all the halts, all the halts, all the halts, and you get a disturbance, you know. You get disturbance in the mud, really. The halt was very good.
Could see an 8.5.
Yeah.
You're turning into a judge, Sam Watson.
Yeah.
Well, potentially not a very good one.
And the only other thing about the rain back
only 7s, there we go.
Yeah. The only other thing about the rain back as well is by the end of the day, that's going to be gluey down there. And the horses to pick their feet out of it. So, that would be the only thing about the going is X and the A's. So again, really rhythmical. Could ask for a little bit more sparkle, pizzazz, but you know, he knows what he's on, and he probably knows he can just cruise around.
We all love a bit of sparkle in our life,
don't we? But consistency gets you below 70%, you know, gets you higher than 70%.
If we talk about this, because 7s across the board, if you scored 7 for every single movement, you would score 45 penalties.
Yeah, end of. And that is still only fairly good. So, and he's on that, isn't he? Yeah, he's on his 70%, because he's done nothing really below a 6. One of them's been a bit mean to him. I can't remember which one it was. And again, you see, it's just binging out all the 7s.
But when we're talking about someone who wants to win not just this leg, but this series, we're talking about a man who's won a 4-star. So for those guys, 70% is the base. I mean, if they come out with a 45, they're a little bit disappointed generally. Yeah. And with where this horse has been going,
I would be hoping that half past would get 8s, but nearly did.
There's been a lot of 7s, but not a lot more than that.
And I don't know. I wouldn't like to say it, but are they thinking, why is he going before lunch? We've never had a horse of this calibre before lunch ever, have we? We've never had, potentially, a horse that could lead the whole thing before lunch. Nicole will do her math.
No, I don't think we have, to be fair. We've had some strong
good
performances.
Ones, but not, you know, he could actually lead the whole thing from now.
Yeah.
And I just think I think they're holding back a little bit. Because for me, I wanted more 8s. But he popped one out there.
Ooh.
Oops.
Horse almost anticipated a halt, didn't he?
That is the trouble when you do all this centre line work. Again, when we talk about horses anticipating, they're on the centre line, they go, I'm here again, shall I pretend it's a halt? He half thought he was going to halt, I think. So I think like here in this canter, he could do with a bit more energy. He's not, the canter this rein isn't as good as the other rein. Gets a little bit on his forehand. Now there, you see as he came onto that second loop, he sat the horse better in preparation for this change. Yeah. You could see the difference in the canter from loop 1 to loop 2.
Well, this is a horse who was third at Badminton, has handled probably the toughest track we've ever seen in eventing in the modern era.
Yeah.
So we know he can go across country. He's clear inside the time. We know he's fast. Jump to clear rounds. We know he can jump. And I think I can see this horse being mid-30s. You can see the potential. So
I'm surprised he's not nearer 30.
Would you, if you're in Tim's shoes, would you sort of say, I mean, not in a diplomatic way, just maybe talk to the judges and see, well, what
could he have done?
What you're looking for?
When he sees it back and sees the 7.5, 7.5s, like he'd like to know what turns it to the 8 and the 8.5s.
Yeah, because this is a horse that is capable of the 8
he needs to, he would need to now, because he'd be like, okay, I nearly cantered, I nearly lost canter. That's in his mind. Everything else, though, I think he'd like to know.
Ultimately,
he's not going to be cross or anything, is he? But but when you're analysing how you're going to win a 4-star, when you've got to get to the nitty-gritty of changing those marks, you know.
He's going to need to take that to a 36, 37, and you can see the ability there. I think for people watching this, I think Xavier Fair, Tim Price, I think you're looking at one of the big names of the sport over the next 4 or 5 years. So we've got a World Games coming up, we've got Tokyo coming up, and that looks like it's got all the ingredients to be a big player.
And they're going to be our new leaders here. 43.5, New Zealand go out in front. This is a huge test in terms of the speed across the country that this combination can show. We know that's going to be influential here at Gatcombe, one to keep an eye on tomorrow. New leader Tim Price, Xavier Fair, but let's go down to Alice because the sun is still shining. So we'll catch up with Alice and Richard Waygood, the performance director for Team GB's eventing squad very shortly. Big few weeks coming up for him in terms of the European Championships in Gatcombe in just a couple of weeks. But now we turn our attentions to a young lady making her Event Rider Masters debut. It is Sarah Holmes for Great Britain. Sarah comes forward with Low Hill Clover. And Sarah actually based on the Isle of Wight and makes the journey over to the mainland to compete on a regular basis. She runs a really busy equestrian centre over on the island. And this, a 15-year-old Irish that she's actually produced herself. They were 7th at Blair last year. They were top 20 at Barbary at this level just a month or so ago. And Sarah, part of the team that won silver at the CIC 2-star European Championships back in 2015. So Sarah Holmes and Low Hill Clover. Horse she owns herself, 15 years of age now, coming forward.
You were dying to get out that stat about the Isle of Wight,
I did. First rider representing the Isle of Wight in the Event Rider Masters Series.
Well, I love the look at this, and we'll get into that. But first thing about Sarah, she averages herself a 46.8 across all her internationals this season. So to keep your average down there from 9 runs, this is her 10th international this season. So her dressage is going in the right direction.
Well, and how she started, she's on that score because actually good hold, good power, really rode that medium trot. I'd like her to slow down a little bit for them to just give the horse a bit more time to actually cross and take a bit more time in the air and have the cadence. And that's when they'll get stuck on the 6.5 and maybe the 7.
She's got quick music again.
Because it's busy music.
And now the rhythm's too busy. I think we've really
uncovered something. Mark, I think
something.
you're going to get yourself a new job selecting music.
Yeah. It's really
and giving the fast music to the riders that we need to speed up a little bit.
Yes.
Was it Caroline Marsh that we wanted to speed up?
So again, I felt she wasn't very balanced into that halt, so he was a bit on his head. But he's been very, very obedient. But
that looks nice. It's hard to assess the angle there, but that looked about right from this angle, didn't it?
It is, but then when you turned away from that, she didn't finish it. So there's quite a few people who don't finish their half passes. They don't finish the horse's front end on the centre line with the left bend, then bring his bottom, then straighten up. They're a bit like, oh, its front end's nearly on the centre line. And the judge at sea will be really angry and be like, ugh, why can't they finish things?
Is he being rather vocal during his test?
I think so. Yeah.
He didn't look like he was.
Coming from. I didn't.
Yeah. I thought it was from behind us. But again, really quite nice in the walk. But I reckon there's going to be some tension just because he was just flicking the bit a little bit. Yeah. You see, like he's losing the sequence of the walk. Clever riding. She just went, oh, I'll just canter then, rather than make an issue.
Sometimes at that point, do you think I'll canter early?
It's called damage limitation, isn't it? You're a bit like, shall I go for a 5 or a 2?
This is where you can see, so if we had white gloves on now, we'd see that there's a bit of activity going on.
Yeah.
But for a good reason.
Because she's trying to make him soft and bend and supple, you know. But if she had white on, you'd be like, oh, look at her fiddling. But she needs to bend him. So I think tension is creeping in because he could just be softer in his frame. But actually,
again,
the horse has a lovely canter.
And a nice
uphill
carriage.
Nice
outline, nice way of carrying himself.
Okay, that change was quite nice to want him soft in the frame, but 6.5, 7 I would be thinking. But this is, again, a really quality horse, really well trained. What's really noticeable today is nobody's been overbent or shot in the neck. And I would say it's happened, I've barely had any all season really. So you event riders are riding their back ends now and getting their front ends out.
Look
I
at
think
Oscar,
the thing is,
the most talented riders on the circuit, I think.
I think the key is, Mark, the dressage standard has improved so incredibly over the last few years that everybody expects more and more and more. And actually, these are horses that have got to go and jump a clear round show jumping at sort of -30 and then go cross country.
Event horses are an amazing thing because all 3 phases have improved but been technically harder, haven't they? The tests, the jumps, your height, your show jumps, your speed, everything. You know, you do wonder where the ceiling is. But it's like the dressage horses keep breaking world record after world record. And you just think, where's the end?
And this really is the triathlon of equestrian sport because we expect so much from them and they're such athletes.
Yeah, I mean, they are. That change was very nice, by the way, she just did.
The thing for us as a riders is about 30% of people are jumping a clear round in the show jumping. So we can all jump a clear round. You can't really get any better. And same with going clear inside the time cross country. Okay, you get a venue like Gatcombe where the time becomes more influential, but you can get a horse clear inside the time. So you can't do any better. You're on 0. And then you see in the dressage, you've got to catch Bettina Hoy's on a 26.
Yeah.
So you've got to train this phase.
Yeah, you have. That lovely rider. But I think they're just slightly doing before lunch holding back phase, like badminton dressage Friday.
So Sarah Holmes for Great Britain making her Event Rider Masters debut with Low Hill Clover, a horse that has given her a taste of championship level, won that team silver at the CIC 2-star Europeans a few years ago, and very much has been her top horse over the last couple of years. And a test actually, Mark, that should go forth. It's borderline sub 50.
I would like to get sub 50 because I think actually it deserved it. The harmony, beautiful riding. I think it's like a sort of a reward in it to go sub 50. Sam?
Yeah, exactly.
Even if it's 49.99.
It feels different, doesn't it?
Well, the current leader is Tim Price, Xavier Fair for New Zealand, 43.5. He's the man with the target on his back. And let's go and talk to Alice.
Yeah, the Kiwi ace, Tim, has taken the lead. You put the pressure on at last. You got the judges to give some marks.
Yeah, I don't know what that was all about. No, it's early days, Plunks, but great wee horse. Big horse, actually. He's just been getting more consistent as he's matured into his advanced level of eventing. So it's nice that he came out. And there's so much hype, you know, with the big screen in the corner and music playing. And he coped really well. He's coping better and better with these things. So he's good fun.
And listen, it was surprised a few people. Jock Paget like parachuted in and hopped on him at Aachen. I mean, only you guys. That's amazing. Yeah,
it was a great show of team spirit and camaraderie and things. And if only there was just a little glance by in the cross country, which cost us dearly as a team. And he did a great job, you know, and he did put a little element of pressure on me there. He scored a 43 or 42 point something on the flat. So I came close enough to keep my pride intact and not get a silly text from Jock. So.
And listen, cross-country wise, we know basically he's pretty strong, and you are the speed merchant.
Well, he runs at speed and a rhythm, and you know he's one of those that he disguises his speed. You don't see it happening, and also with the undulation here, the ups and downs. I think he's a very good horse to gallop in these conditions. The ground's great. Looking forward to it.
Well, it's a word of warning for the rest of them. You've definitely laid a marker down. Well done.
Cheers. Thank you.
Well, we go from one speed horse, talking about Xavier Fair, to another. Elizabeth Power comes forward with Solodoon, and this is a horse she owns alongside Lynn and Kerry Lyons. Finished on their dressage score to take 7th at Chatsworth earlier on this year. But importantly, they were on the podium here 12 months ago. They finished 3rd in 2016. Sam, still the biggest climb onto a podium after dressage.
Yeah, they came from 25th to 3rd. It was a big climb. They are one of the fastest combinations in the world at this point in time. Gatcombe was where they got their podium finish last year, so to be back at Gatcombe, they are here to lay down a big challenge. Is it very, very competitive? And this first phase is important for them because it's where it has unravelled for them once or twice. This season didn't go to plan for them at Tattersalls in the CCI 3-star there, so they'll want this to hit those mid-40s if they can.
Yeah, he's a beautiful looking horse, and really, she rides him really forward and powerfully. It just looks a little bit tight in his frame, and a little bit sort of peacocking around and not really laterally supple. You can see there in that shoulder, and it looks more like a leg yield. Got a reflection through the inside eye. And then he has quite good crossing in the half pass, but he loses a bend towards the end. So especially those two short side judges. But again, everything's a 6 and a 6.5 because it's in good rhythm, good power. Just a little more relaxation for more suppleness and then expression, and then the marks come out. You know, the marks are right.
Yeah, in the past they've had breaks in their mediums, and you know, things have unravelled earlier on in the test. So I think they'll be quite happy to be on that clear round right now, and I think that's
going to get a massive mark, that walk. He says and probably gets 6, but the length of stride was really good, and actually she's done one of the better medium walks. I think that we got an 8. Yeah,
6.5.
Yeah. Oh well. But she had one of the best medium walks, to be fair.
She's kept the relaxed. The horse just looks relaxed.
He does,
and that's what they've been missing from the test.
Yeah,
in the past.
Right. So there's always been good work and then mistakes. So here a little bit, she's just having to be quite tactful about just making him a bit more supple. And this is obviously the danger part of a test for a horse that's tight, is the flying change. And he sort of screwed around and swung around, and she's somehow got a change. So I think she'll be pleased, because actually it's a danger point, isn't it? Same with a horse that's tight, is the flying change.
Now, given how competitive we know they're going to be in the cross country, and that their show jumping has improved and they're jumping clear rounds, they've only gone sub 50 at 3-star level 3 times, 47.8 being the best of those. They're in that zone, so they're in the kind of 3-star PB zone.
Yeah, and look at the half pass is very good that way. And it's so really she just got two danger zones. See, like there, the canter just gets a little bit tight. But again, it's in the 6.5s. She'll be happy with the 6.5s and the 7s. She's got just one more test of.
She's going to need this to be clean if she wants to go sub 50.
No.
That's going to cost her.
That's going to cost her, yeah. It was sort of clean, then he decided he wouldn't bother and came back again, and then made 2
one-time changes behind.
Yeah, just showing off. But then she'll go for a right blast here, try and get Mark back. Do you like galloping on a circle or a straight line?
I prefer the straight line. I think it all depends on the conditions, but if you're on either very firm ground or very soft ground, it's quite difficult doing it on a circle. If you've got it nice and in between, it's not too bad.
Yeah, so it's that flying change that's done for her, as it were.
Yeah, that's from a sort of a 49 to a 51.
She looks, you can tell she looks almost a little disappointed with that. Do you think that'd be fair to say? Because the horse has been improved so much. But it's not a dressage competition this weekend. We know that they climbed last year. They climbed 12 months ago. What was their dressage 12 months ago?
51.3.
51.3.
And then they had a show jump down there. So they went out on a 55.3, added 1.2, finished on a 56.5. So they're already. They have the potential again to finish on their dressage score here, and again they're only one of 2 or 3 horses that you would say that about.
And they jumped the most beautiful clear round in the show jumping at Chatsworth. Were they clear in Arken? I have a feeling that they were. So they come here with some very good show jumping form as well. There's lots to take forward for. Will there be another Irish finisher on the podium this weekend? Well, she did it 12 months ago. Elizabeth Power, Solid Dune, riding for herself and for Lynn and Kerry Lyons. This accommodation across the country on Sunday afternoon, tomorrow afternoon, They are one of the best to watch. Izib, her family steeped in equestrian history. Brother Robbie won the Gold Cup and 50.5, fifth after dressage as things stand at the moment. We're at the lunch break now. We are halfway through. They were on the podium 12 months ago, Elizabeth Power and Solidoon. But things are heating up here. Let's go down to Alice.
Yeah, Sarah joins me now. Late 40s your score, round your personal best. You must be pleased.
Very pleased. He was great for me in there. He got a little bit tense, but he tried his hardest for me.
Is that an area that he's been improving on? I mean, you must have been thrilled because that's the sort of mark you were aiming for.
Yeah, I've been training the last couple of weeks with Dickie Waygood up at his. I was there for a couple of days, and actually we've just been trying to get his neck out. It gets a little bit short in his neck, but we really worked on that, and I felt it was paid off. It was good, yeah.
And Richard Waygood, who's taken on the British team here watching you, that must give you some confidence.
Yeah, he was great help. Also Carl Belson, who helps me with the jumpings here alongside. So yeah, it's lovely to have trainers to help you before you go in the ring. It gives you a lot of confidence.
I know, I think some people often underestimate the team behind you. We see you riders and the horses look so glamorous on the telly, and then we don't realise the enormous team behind you.
Oh, it's just, I'm so lucky because I'm actually from the Isle of Wight. So to keep the yard going at home, all the team are incredible. I'm really lucky. My cousin actually comes along with me most of the time, and my mum and dad are fantastic. So I'm very lucky with family support.
How on earth do you juggle it from the Isle of Wight? You've got to take a ferry every time you go to a competition.
Yeah, it's quite crazy. As I've got 6 on the circuit, so backwards and forwards all the time, and long days usually.
You're the Isle of Wight star, definitely. You're certainly our first Isle of Wight competitor in the Event Rider Masters. Well done today. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well done, Sal.
Well, let's take a look at the leaderboard at the lunch break. New Zealand out in front. The series contender, Tim Price, Xavier Fair, 43.5. Very good test from him. Kirsty Johnston, the dark horse WTTL opposition Skylaw, 47.9. They were top 10 at Blair last year. Can they do so again? But completing 3 different nations in the top 3. Ludvig Svenestål for Sweden, Ballon Mist. Very good test from them, 48.6. Izib Power on the podium 12 months ago with Solidoon. She currently sits in 5th, equal with Umberto Riva for Italy on 50.5. But the leaderboard, we expect it to shuffle throughout the weekend. That is how things look at the moment, but we still have plenty more to bring you throughout the afternoon. Don't forget as well, you can get involved with the SAP Spectator Judging app too. So you can download that for free in your app store and you can judge along with our ground jury. We'll be taking part in that a little bit this afternoon as well. We're going to get Mark Ruddock. Mark, you're going to judge some of our combinations as well.
Exciting.
Yeah, we're looking forward to hearing what you think.
Terrifying.
But Mark and Sam Watts Necker ratings with me in the studio all morning. Let's just take a moment because we have seen some excellent tests. Let's talk about our leader, Tim Price, Xavier Fair. He deserved to be up there at the lunch break.
He does deserve to be there, and I think actually, on reflection, he will think maybe there was a few more scores, but actually he will get better and better. And I think, like you said earlier, that horse will get to be competitive with Ingrid.
Yeah, world class.
And you know, proper world class.
We have, yeah. I think that's the really exciting one. He's got a show jump in hand as it stands in this competition. That's where his focus is going to be, and that's where his focus should be. Maybe that and the fact that his wife's about to have a baby, but we'll leave that to one side.
She said she wanted the baby today. I'm not sure she really does. Maybe Monday.
Yeah, Tim could do with waiting until Monday, but no, serious horse, and the future is really what you're looking at there as well. Very, very exciting.
And speed across the country, we've talked about a lot. We'll talk about it a lot more tomorrow as well. But one lady who is fast across the country, and it secured her a podium finish 12 months ago, Elizabeth Power, is with Alice.
Yeah, Nicole is definitely bigging up your trump card is of the speed. Last year it took you to the podium. You were the highest climber throughout our series, and I know you loved keeping that seat warm for so long. But you must have been pleased with the test today.
Yeah, I mean, the dressage is a work in progress with the next racehorse like that, and he really is getting better and better all the time. And hopefully, you know, he's just not quite pulling off a clear round in his dressage, but when he does, he won't be so far off the pace. So
the quality of the work, though, every time I see him, you know, he's getting more and more watch me.
Yeah, and I hope that, like, you know, people have to kind of understand that it takes them a little longer, and then hopefully they'll start to mark him, because I think some of the work he did was really, really good, and they just need to get confident enough to mark him. His work is that good now, so.
Now, what about the cross country and the show jumping? That's where we know you shine. Have you had a look at the track?
Well, I've walked the intermediate, so I've had a look at some of the fences. It looks very interesting. It's always interesting here. It's a fabulous venue, and it's definitely not a dressage competition, so hopefully it won't be tomorrow.
And we love having you as part of the Masters. You've enjoyed taking part?
Oh, it's brilliant. I mean, we really need it. As I keep calling it, Alfie has to put some money into the Alfie fund to keep him on the road for a bit longer, so we definitely need it.
Yeah, well, listen, great to have you here. Good start, and hopefully you'll be keeping that podium chair warm tomorrow.
Fingers crossed. Thanks.
Well, the rain is coming down here again at Gatcombe. Fingers crossed it stops after the lunch break, because we will be turning our attentions to the second 2 sessions of dressage. Now, before we go for lunch, let's just take a couple of moments, Mark and Sam. Highlights to look forward to this afternoon. We're back on air at 10 to 2 British time. Who do we need to watch for?
Well, I think Alexander Bragg in that next section, because he can ride a test and that horse is beautiful, and yeah.
So Greb, 5th at Pau last year.
Exactly. And a really good score at badminton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Sam?
Well, I have a soft spot for Borough Pennies. She's quite I mean, London 2012, top 10. You know, back then, this horse has been around for a long time. So be interesting to see her. And again, she's fast. So she can put a good score on the board, and she can. She's been sub 40. So we'll just see how she does. And then, for me, the 2 biggies, Arctic Soul and Treason. They're going to be the Arctic Soul is the last horse of the 3rd session, Treason the last horse of the final session. And that is where this series and this competition are going to really hot up.
There are some incredible combinations still to come. Samart Tog, Kiltubrid, Rhapsody, they have been getting better and better in their dressage on their last couple of runs. They broke into the 30s for the first time at Samuel earlier this spring. But Shane Rose, CP qualified. Sam, you said earlier on you thought they were going to lead. Still stand by that?
I'm not sure how the Australian horse is going to handle the very British weather that
Gemma
we're
Tattersalls' Rain Dance is working a treat right now, because Arctic Soul is a mud monster.
We've got lunch coming up. I need to go and get a sandwich, so she could stop for a minute. That would be good. But it will be interesting to see how he copes it. A horse who's got a lot of good form down in Australia. As I said, the only horse in the field is won a 4-star. That would have definitely been very different ground to what he's going to get here. So we'll see how that affects him in the first phase.
Well, I think it's safe to say we have got a lot of combinations coming forward that could shuffle that leaderboard. We know it's going to change. Tim Price, the leader at lunch, Xavier Fair, 43.5. They're the ones to beat. They're the ones with the target on the back. We are back at 13:50, 10 to 2 British time. The first combination due in the arena at 2 o'clock. We hope you can join us, because it promises to be an incredible afternoon of dressage. Here, leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters.